Finance company manager Daniel Cruz is suing his ex-fiancée, Shannon Kelly, for unpaid loans and for damaging his car in a drunken rage.
Yeah, this is case number 88 on the calendar in the matter of Cruz versus Kelly. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Cruz, Ms. Kelly was your former fiancée.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And according to your complaint, you believe that she owes you some money for some loans that were made a year ago by you.
Yes, ma'am.
And also, more recently, that she had a hissy fit about something and threw a potted plant at your car, causing some damage.
Yes.
Ms. Kelly says that while you were generous to her over the course of your relationship, there were never any loans, and she has no clue as to what you're talking about with regard to damaging your car. Who is this person, Ms. Kelly?
This is my boyfriend now.
Does he have any particular knowledge of this case?
He does.
About what?
Basically, when we had broken off the engagement, Dan had become very upset with the whole thing, and he'd come to my house making threats, trying to get into my house, and he was there. And
well, that has nothing to do with this case.
Right. So basically,
basically he's just here as eye candy.
Whatever.
What's the matter? Isn't that right?
I candy.
All right. When were you and Miss Kelly engaged?
We were engaged on January 5th, 2004.
For how long?
We were engaged until February 20th of 2004.
And when were these loans, Mr. Cruz?
Loans were done at various times throughout the relationship.
Mr. Cruz,
yes.
Let's get to the biggies.
Sure.
Let's try this. Nothing under $100. I have a $100 threshold that I'm going to use.
I guarantee there's nothing under $100, Your Honor.
Perfect.
Okay.
Give me the date. Give me what it was for.
Okay. The first one, Your Honor, was for rent that I paid for in May of 2003.
And how much was that?
That was for $400.
Tell me the conversation that took place.
The conversation?
Yes.
Okay. I asked her, I said, do you have the money for the rent? And she said she did not have the money for the rent. And she asked if I could front it for her. I said, sure, I'd be willing to do that, but you're going to have to pay me back.
Okay. Now, do you remember that May of 2003?
I did not receive my check through the mail yet, and he did propose to, not lend me the money, but to pay for my portion of it.
Okay. Miss Kelly, let's stop there. You say your check didn't come in the mail.
Right.
What check are we talking about?
My disability check.
How much did you get from disability?
I get about $1,000 a month.
What's the nature of your disability?
Mentally have stress, a lot of stress. Basically, I was fired from a previous job for sexual harassment, and from that, it caused me a lot of damage. And so I went to I was going to fight against them and sue them.
All right, so you received Social Security disability? Do you still?
Actually, no. As of a few weeks ago, no.
Now, your check hadn't arrived yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you must have said to Mr. Cruz, my check hasn't come yet.
Mm-hmm.
My check hasn't come yet. Can you front the money for me?
I don't even think I went as far as asking him that. It was, he paid for a lot of things for me.
No, I don't want to hear a lot of things. Listen, I'm a very organized person. We're talking about May of 2003 and your rent. Mm-hmm. And your rent. So if you were accustomed to paying your rent out of your disability check and your check was late, the common sense would be, can you pay the rent, and when my check comes, I'll give it back to you. That's common sense. I mean, that's what one would think of what was said.
Correct.
Right. And you paid the $400, your share of the rent. Did you ever get your check?
Yeah.
Did you give him back the $400?
I've tried, and he would not accept it because he said that he didn't want it.
Okay. Now, when was the next loan you made to her, sir?
December of 2003. I loaned her money for a couple of sets of car repairs, actually. First repair was December 18th of 2003. That was for $227.
Right.
The other one was December 20th, 2003. That was for $180.
Any other loans, sir?
In January 2004, there was money that I loaned her for medical expenses. I had gotten back from a cruise, right, so I took her to the urgent care. The cost for that was $237. She did not have the money to pay it. I told her once again I would loan her the money for the $237, but that she'd have to pay me back for that as well.
And those are the loans you're talking about?
There's also one more loan. I'm sorry, I neglected to bring it up. It was in August of 2003. It was also for repairs for her car, okay, and that was for $281.68.
You want to tell me about the damage to your car, sir?
January 19, 2004, I was on my way to work First Monday back from the cruise, on the way to work, I was rear-ended by a lady. At the time, the car was still drivable, okay, but I knew I was going to have to take it into the shop, but knowing that it was going to be in there for at least a week or so, I didn't take it right away. January 23rd, she and I had an argument. She got upset with me. She went outside. My car was parked in front of her house. She took a potted plant. She broke it on my car. Now, I had made an insurance claim on the damage that the other lady caused me. However, I didn't make an insurance claim on what she had caused because I didn't want there to be any type of legal recourse against her as far as
Because you were
criminal.
engaged.
Right.
And you stayed engaged for another month.
That's correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Cruz says ex-fiancée Shannon Kelly owes for unpaid loans and for smashing a potted plant on top of his car.
Okay, let's hear about the potted plant, madam.
I don't know what he's talking about, actually. We fought all the time.
So you mean he's making this story up?
Or if somebody else did it, he never I mean,
No.
there's, I don't know what he's...
All right. Anything else you want to tell me?
Yes, that this is not true. With the car repairs, he called me and said that he had a surprise for me, that he had recovered some funds that he wasn't aware of, and that he wanted to get my car out. And I said no, I didn't want to. I'd rather pay for it myself, and he insisted. Okay, he decided to do that. When I did get my check again, I did give him back $200 because I didn't want anything from him.
Why didn't you want anything from him?
Because he would use it against me and throw it up to me and make me feel terrible in
What
fights.
kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a branch manager for a finance company.
Are you currently employed, Miss Kelly?
No.
And how do you support yourself? On disability?
I was up until recently, so now I'm going to find a job.
Do you live with this gentleman here?
Yes, I do.
Do you work?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a carpenter.
Okay. Here's your problem, Mr. Cruz. Of the 5 loans that you've made to her over the course of a 6 or 7 month period, she had not made any payments. Is that right?
That is correct.
That's not a loan. That's what you give to your girlfriend. I find that it's unreasonable to believe that if, in fact, this engagement came to fruition and developed into a marriage, that we wouldn't be standing here today. Right?
Well, that's...
Not well.
Not necessarily.
Well, not necessarily. I'm telling you that if you and Miss Kelly married, we would not be standing here today. You're angry. She didn't give you a lot of money. You gave her a lot of money. I mean, altogether, it doesn't amount to a whole lot of money over the course of a relationship that spanned a couple of years. But those aren't loans. Loans get repaid. Even marginally, they get repaid. And anybody you're in finance?
Yes.
Doesn't loan more money when the first loan hasn't been paid, and doesn't loan money for a third time when the first 2 loans haven't been paid, and doesn't loan money for the 4th time when the first 3 loans haven't been paid. Because if you do that, you're soon going to be out of business, unless you're operating from your heart, because you're involved in a relationship. And then it no longer becomes an arm's length contract. It becomes a situation where, well, if the relationship works out, so it's over. But if it doesn't, I don't want to be out this money. So, Mr. Cruz, get over it. Let me see pictures of the car where she dropped the potted plant. What's in that box?
Unfortunately, Your Honor, I don't have pictures, okay? And the reason being for that is because she called me the next day. She apologized to me for doing it, and when I went to her house, I showed her what she had done to the car. She didn't realize it, and she looked at it, she said, "I'm sorry." She said, "But you are lucky. I meant to put it through your windshield." And I said, "Well, if you put it through the windshield, it probably would have cost less." I don't have pictures, but I do have the pieces of the pot that she broke on it. That's what's in the box.
You think, sir, that I'm going to look at the pieces of the pot without pictures of the car? Mr. Cruz.
Yes.
And she called you up and she apologized. Let me ask you this question, Mr. Cruz. Between the 23rd of January, when she caused this damage to your car, is that what you told me?
Yes.
Okay. And February 20th of 2004, you were in fact engaged, is that right?
Yes.
Were you intimate during that period?
Yes.
You forgave her. You forgave her, sir. She feels as if you forgave her. I feel as if you forgave her. You got to put a period and say, I'm moving on. And whatever money it was, it's a cheap lesson. And I'm very, very lucky that I didn't hook my wagon to this star, which would have caused you in the long run in your life, Mr. Cruz, far greater damage. You could have done the absolutely unthinkable and stupid thing to have married this lady.
True.
Right?
That's true.
Instead, this gentleman's going to marry her.
Let him deal with it.
Right? Right.
Yeah, let him deal with it.
That's all. Good luck, sir.
Yep.
Why is our excuse? You may step out.
She's getting hers now. I mean, you can see what she's with and what she's doing now, which is nothing, and what she'll always become in her life is nothing.
Basically, he just wants to, demolish whatever life that I do have.
She was cheating on me with the gentleman she brought in the courtroom today.
He was tried to commit suicide a couple times over me. He even was put into the hospital for 4 days in the mental institution for throwing me across the room and bruising my table.
Look out for freeloaders like this one over here. She's going to cost you a lot of money, cost you a lot of heartache, and she laughs over here, but I'm going to get the last laugh when I see what her life will become.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Troy versus Shaw. Step forward, please.
Retail salesperson Patricia Troy is suing her ex-boyfriend, retail assistant manager Charles Shaw Jr. for the return of money meant to secure an apartment. Patricia says Charles lied about wanting to live with her.
Ms. Troy, the defendant is your former boyfriend, and according to your complaint, you gave him some money in order to save up some money to put down on an apartment for the two of you to share together. After you gave him the money, he decided he no longer wanted to be a couple, and you want your money back.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what the case is about.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw acknowledges that you gave him money, right?
Yeah.
But Mr. Shaw says that the money was a gift. You had given him money in the past. It had absolutely nothing to do with an apartment, and there was never an expectation that he would return that money to you should the relationship go south. So, how long have you known him?
Since September of 2002.
And I gather from your complaint that there was a time, Mr. Shaw, that you were incarcerated. Is that right?
Yes.
When was that?
From March of 2003 until April of 2004.
What were you incarcerated for?
A breaking and entering charge and
Burglary?
yeah.
I can understand burglary.
And
Was this the first
anger
time you
control
were...
management.
What?
I didn't go to anger control management.
Burglary and anger control management. So this emanated from a domestic violence situation?
Yeah. So basically it was just anger control management. That's the charge. I got violated.
Why didn't you go to anger control management?
I did go. I missed the last class, so I got violated.
And who was it that was the target of your anger?
A former ex-girlfriend.
You have a child with this ex-girlfriend?
No.
Did you learn your lesson?
Yeah.
Did you finish anger control management?
Yes.
Did you finish it in prison?
Yes.
See how they get you to do it? One way or another, you're going to go to that last class. Now, Miss Troy met you in September of 2002, so she enjoyed your company for several months, and then you went to jail. And I assume that Miss Troy stood by you when you were in jail. Is that right?
She came in on the tail end part.
On the tail end part of
is not
jail?
true.
Yeah. She was writing in the beginning, then she stopped writing. Then around November of 2003, she started coming around.
You mean she started to come to visit you?
Yeah.
Because you couldn't go visit her. So she was visiting you.
Yeah.
How far a trip was it that she had to make to come to visit you?
Not far.
Give me an idea. What's not far?
Probably a mile.
1 mile. The jail was 1 mile from where she lived?
I assume it was.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Says her ex-boyfriend Charles Shaw Jr. owes for the return of money she gave him to secure an apartment. Charles says the money was a gift.
Now, where was the jail? What jail were you in?
Richmond City.
Richmond City? Was that a county jail?
City.
And you live in Richmond?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not such a far distance for you to come to visit.
It's not that far
When you came to visit him, did you bring him money?
on occasions.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How much money did she bring you?
These are just some of the money slips that she did give me.
Can I see it, please? Who is this, by the way?
Oh, that's my father.
$20 on March 13th, $30 on March 27th, $30 on April 12th, $50 on January 22nd.
All that money she didn't bring me. My father gave her the money to bring to me.
That's
Why
not-
didn't he come to bring it to you?
Because my father owns a furniture store, and she was working for him at the time. So during that time, he was at work. When she came to visit, she just brought the money down.
But it was not always his money, Your Honor.
Sometimes it
that
was
money
yours.
came out my pocket, and I also have some receipts.
Those are the same receipts.
Okay, I have receipts.
Different
Okay.
dates.
So sometimes his father gave you money to bring him, sometimes you brought the money yourself. Now tell me about the money that you claim you gave him for the apartment, Miss Troy.
Okay.
He got out of jail.
Yeah, he came home in May.
Look at me when you're talking.
He came home. We were still dating, supposedly. It came to a point where he went out of town, supposedly went to New York or whatever. We talked about our apartment. We had conversations about the apartment. I also have the letters where the conversation started when he was incarcerated. So when he came home, we talked furthermore about it, and we agreed that I would give him some money to save for the apartment. On the first occasion, I gave him $180 in cash. On the second occasion, he came to my home and picked up $200 in cash.
Well, what did he say when he picked up the $200 in cash?
I mean, he really didn't say anything. He just said he was going to put the money away. Okay, then he told me he found our apartment. He was approved for it. He told me he needed my information so he could put my name on the lease. Okay, we were supposed to move in the apartment August the 6th. The week before we were supposed to move in the apartment, that's when everything was broke off. I asked Mr. Shaw, would I be able to get my money back? He told me he was going to give me my money back. We made a verbal agreement that he would drop the money off at my mother's house. He never did. We bickered and argued for a day over the phone about the money, about this. I even contacted his probation officer to try to solve this. But, you know, nothing happened, so I felt like I had this on for it.
Well, you talked about getting this apartment, sir, for a long time while you were in jail.
I was thinking about getting an apartment. When I came home, she didn't have herself together. First of all, she stopped working. My father had to let her go due to circumstances at the store. Then, in my eyes, she wasn't stable.
Well, why'd you take this $380 from her?
I mean, if somebody give you some money, you go. She asked me a couple of times, do you need any money? I'm like, I need some money. Then she had to do I need any shoes, anything. She was like, I buy them from you.
That is...
Shh. You want to say something?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. This goes back a little bit more than what's going on. Back in January, the job at the store was actually my son's job. I was holding it for him until he came back from jail. But he called me back in January. He said that Patricia and I were having little problems. She's having problems staying where she lives now with the people. She have a lot of issues going on and she can no longer stay there. So could you let her work my job that you have for me at the store so she can find an apartment for her and her 2 kids to stay? So I said, I really don't want to right now, but I'll do it for you. So she came to the store. This was in January, February, March, April. I told Miss Troy, when are you going to get an apartment for you and your kids? She's making the money. She never does it. I said, you're waiting for my son to get home. He's going to change. A lot is going to change about him. There's no guarantee he's going to even still want to be with you. You must worry about you and your 2 children.
Good advice.
So she had the money, plus she even got an income tax return. She did all that. She had plenty of money to get the apartment for her and the kids. This is about my son no longer wanted to be with her.
He acknowledges he took the $380 from her. His response to me when I said, why? He said to me, someone give you money, you take it, right?
And I asked him,
the answer is, not if I wasn't interested.
No, she didn't give me $380. Like that story she's saying about that 180 and that 200, that's not true.
Well, how much did she give you, sir?
She gave me about like $50 one time, $7 one time.
Your Honor.
I mean, she gave me money numerous of times. I figured they were gifts.
Do you understand, Mr. Shaw? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand you very well.
Okay. And so what I'm talking about your son's character.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not talking about her stupidity. I'm talking about his character.
Excuse me, ma'am.
I'm speaking. If she's got 2 children that she has to take care of, and she is not a wealthy person because she's working at a temporary job, she's got 2 kids that she's got to deal with, and I know she doesn't have a lot of money. Your son, who evidently said to you, according to you, would you give Patricia my job so that she can save up a little money?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What kind of character does he have to take money from her?
And I also told her about that.
Just...
Yeah.
I'm asking you, you're his father. Do you think that that demonstrates a person of good character?
No, it doesn't.
Perfect.
Yes.
Sit down.
Thank you.
Like it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $380. That's all. Step out.
Step out. I figure when a female gives you money, or anybody gives you money, and it's not in a contract or anything, you don't have to pay it back.
The reality of it all, it wasn't for him. It was for our apartment.
When I was coming home, she asked me, do I need any money to get on my feet or anything?
He needed this, he needed that.
She just mad at the simple fact that I didn't want to be with her anymore.
Obviously, he just didn't want to be with me.
Every time she gave me money, she wants me to come around.
He could have been a man enough to tell me.
I mean, she's a cool person.
I'd rather be single.
Homemaker Colleen Smith is suing her former landlord, Everett Nelson, and his apartment manager, Sophia Banks, for medical bills, pain and suffering, and harassment. Colleen says she fell into a sinkhole on Everett's property.
Quiet in the courtroom. Quiet in the courtroom. Yeah, this is case number 389 on the calendar, the matter of Smith versus Bank Nelson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Smith, you were a resident of an apartment complex. Miss Banks was the manager of that complex. And the co-defendant, Mr. Nelson, I assume, is the landlord and who owns the property. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
With regard to Mr. Nelson, it is your claim that you fell into a sinkhole on the property, causing you injury, and you want him to compensate you for your injury and your medical bills and your pain and suffering. With regard to Ms. Bank, you say that she engaged in a course of harassment which forced you to move, caused you emotional pain and suffering, caused you to have moving expenses, etc., and you want them to pay you a combined amount of $5,000 for all of your aggravation. Tell me about this sinkhole that you fell into. When was that?
September 7th, 2004.
And was the sinkhole in the apartment complex?
No, it was not. It was in front of 2 other duplex units that Mr. Nelson owns. He owns almost half of the block.
So you have photographs of where you fell?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
In the photos, you'll see that should have been after where he tried to patch it up. He patched it up after the incident where I fell.
Would you take these photographs and point out to me, please, where it was that you fell? I can't see where you fell.
Here's the hole that I fell in here. I was actually getting out of the resident's car that was living at this unit. I got out, walked along the edge of the curb, got my baby out of her carrier, out of the back car seat, and there was water running from the top part across the sidewalk, so it just looked muddy. And so I didn't want to get my shoes dirty, and I stepped out of the car onto the curb, but I lost my balance holding the baby in the carrier, and that's when I stepped right here, and it sank.
Let me see.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Who are you?
I'm her fiance.
Yes, were you there?
No, I was at work at the present time, but we also have notification from the water company that the sinkhole was caused in part due to a faulty sprinkler system that he had installed. And the resident called in on it.
Which resident?
The resident that was living at the house who gave her a ride at that time.
Let me see. Go ahead, so.
I went to the water company to find out how many complaints prior to my injury had there been, and Mr. Nelson told the woman under no circumstances do not give me any information. So I had to go obtain a subpoena in order to get these records to show that he knew there was a sinkhole there prior that he fixed and that he thought he fixed. And what he did was he shoveled dirt off the back of his truck into the hole instead of calling a company to jackhammer and pack the dirt down. And then that's how the other incident happened on the 7th.
Okay, you have your medical records?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them, please.
Thank you.
Okay, you went to the emergency room. They told you you had a sprained ankle. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do want to express my thanks for the opportunity.
Let's move on.
At your expense. Okay. This is an exhibit I want to share. It shows the duplex in the back. My wife and I purchased this last December and fixed it up. And believe you me, we take good care of our tenants.
Listen to me.
Important. Okay.
Let's get to it.
Yes, all right.
I've read what it said. It said that there was a sink. Listen
Okay.
to me, Mr.
All right.
Nelson. I'm
Yes.
speaking.
Yes.
Pay attention. Listen to me. I'm speaking. Pay attention. The report says that there was a hole on that property that was caused by a sprinkler, that it was filled in on one occasion. Is that true or not true?
One occasion.
Fine.
But I had a company come in and put in a new water tap because when we bought the property, it was told to us that the neighbor on the north would not pay us water. So I put in the water tap.
Mr. Nelson, let me explain something
Sure.
to you, sir. If there is a hole on your property,
I object to that
Listen to me.
being on my property.
well, then I'm
And I can prove
going
that.
to let you get to
Okay.
it. If it's not on your property, it's not on your property.
Sure. Okay.
Okay? There's a hole on your property, and you have noticed that there was a prior hole on your property, and you attempt to fix it, and you don't fix it.
I did.
No, listen to me.
Yes, okay.
And you don't fix it so that it creates a situation so that somebody injures themselves, you're responsible. I assume that you would have homeowners insurance that would cover that. If your defense is that the hole is not on your property, show me.
Okay, that's one of the defenses. Another is that I didn't cause the hole. It was, I honestly believe, sabotage. And this may sound strange, but the lady that lived in this property would not pay 1 penny of water.
Who was the lady who lived in the property?
Who was the renter of this
Okay,
property.
she never paid a penny for water.
Yeah, that's right. And it was written in the contract that she was responsible.
Who cares? I don't care about that.
Okay.
That's not important. Show me that the property isn't your property.
All right. You can see these 2 water meters. This hole was by 1 water meter that was right next to the curb, and that was right here. The cause of the hole was the slashed pipe, like someone jammed a spade, and this is what the guy that repaired
So don't just look at me. Don't talk to them. Look at me.
Sorry. Jammed a spade or a shovel into the grid and slashed it.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
I have a mind like a steel trap. You were going to show me that the property
Okay.
where the hole is not your property. Now you have 30 seconds, because I've already wasted enough time with you. Show me that the property wasn't yours.
Right. Just this picture right here shows the meter by this house and the meter by this house, and it was right in front of this meter right here next to the curb is where the hole was. Here's another picture right here.
Just a second. Let me see the first
Sure.
picture.
May I approach
No.
the bench? Sure.
Go get it from me.
Okay, sure.
This picture that you're showing me, sir, this is not where she fell. She fell at a spot very, very close to the curb, that little curb.
That is true. That is true.
So this, sir, what you're showing me here...
It's just showing the
this-
2 meters. There's 2 meters
Listen to me.
there.
I don't care if you're showing me 2 meters. It's not where she fell. I'm not interested in meter. I'm not a meter maid. This is not where she fell. She fell near a curb. When did Miss Smith tell you that she had fallen into the sinkhole and hurt her ankle?
She did not. She
Really?
did not.
Okay. Miss Smith, when did you notify Mr. Nelson that you had fallen into the sinkhole?
I did not notify Mr. Nelson I had fallen into the sinkhole.
Why not?
Because he came onto the property within that week, and he seen me on the crutches, and the other neighbors had told him, and he did.
Don't tell me what other people told him. I'm asking you a question. Your fiancé seems like an intelligent man. The two of you, you are articulate. You seem like an intelligent woman. If I fall and I injure myself, I call the landlord immediately, just like you went to the doctor, and say to him on the 7th or the 8th or the 9th or the 10th, I fell on your property, I want you to take care of my medical bills, or whatever.
You're right. I
Why
guess
didn't
I
you?
would have, but the next day I was served with this notice.
Can I see?
And so at that point, I just decided not to discuss it with him because someone had already gotten him to the point. So I figured, well...
So on the 8th of September, he told you to move?
Right.
Why did he tell you to move? This was the day after you fell.
Well, according...
Why did you tell her to move, Mr. Nelson?
I gave her a 30-day or a vacate notice to move because she was causing a lot of disturbances in the community. This was perpetual. That's why I asked these people to show the properties, clean up if there's a transition in tenancy, to prepare them, you know.
And I have worked for Mr. Nelson prior to this.
Mr. Nelson, do you have any verification from other tenants that Ms. Smith was causing you problems? Do you have any letters that they wrote to you? Any emails that they sent to you?
There's a wonderful verification right here.
Mr. Nelson!
Yes.
I asked you a question.
She was a tenant of mine.
I'm asking you a question. Whether you have any letters or complaints from other tenants about Ms. Smith.
I was
The answer is either yes or no.
not written.
That's all I'm interested in. Do you have a bill, by the way, for your sprained ankle?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I
I'd like to
actually
see
have
it,
two,
please.
one from the emergency department and one from the doctor.
All right. Can you step over here, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Step over here, please. Very good. You can put your crutches away. I'm unimpressed. Somebody who let me explain something to you. Somebody who has a continuous problem with a sprained ankle from months ago doesn't wear high heel shoes. They wear sneakers. Step back. So I'm unimpressed with the crutches.
No, I just bought them in to show
Listen
you
to
how
me
not to-
very carefully. Anybody who can't walk doesn't wear high heel shoes. They wear sneakers, even though they may not look elegant. They wear sneakers. I want to see the letter where you notified him that you fell.
I didn't.
You never did?
We talked verbally on the phone. And
When?
Around the 15th or 20th
Of what?
of September, when he called me to tell me that I didn't have to move because he hadn't gotten any complaints, and that, you know what I think about you falling, tell me what's going on with this whole thing. And I said, well, Mr. Nelson, I hurt my ankle. And he told me, well, you know what I think about that? I think you're faking.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
I object, Your Honor.
What?
Because Sophia, Ms. Banks here, she saw her most of the time without crutches.
I don't believe she needs crutches, Mr. Nelson, but I believe
okay,
you're
okay.
responsible for our medical bills. Got me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Smith says former landlord Everett Nelson owes for damages due to an accident on his property. Colleen says she fell into a sinkhole.
Now, you want to get to the second part of your claim, which is that Miss Bank harassed you, causing you to have to move.
In August, Sophia and her sister Arabia, Sophia knocked on my door and asked me to come outside. And when I came out with my baby in my arms, she, made the statement to me that, why are you in my business? We're gonna mess you up pretty much if we hear our names come out of your mouth again. And right around that time, her sister came from around the wall there. And, it's, they were coming towards me as in an aggressive manner.
Put your hand down.
That they were going to fight me, we're going to mess you up. And we got into the conversation that, my parents are calling over my house. And I said, well, they asked you not to have their minor child over your home, then send them back home.
I don't know, what was the dispute about?
I had called her parents to inform them. I didn't call her parents, he called her father to let them know that her younger sibling was over her house who was 15, and he was a witness in a case that pertained her and another brother, and he didn't want him over there.
So your boyfriend, your fiance, got into her business.
Right.
I'm not saying right or wrong, but that's what the dispute was about. Is that right, madam?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Fine. And you went over to her house and you told her to stay out of your business?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you went over with your sister?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. What else?
And then on September 3rd, I was given this 3-day notice to pay rent or quit. But according to my lease, my rent isn't late until after the 4th.
Your Honor.
The second.
Okay.
And I do have my receipt where we did.
It says that other covenant of the lease violated. Water, $12, and late fees, $54.90. They're late from September 1st to September 30th, but this notice is dated September 3rd. That doesn't make any sense. Why is that?
What we do is, if the rent is not due, if they have not given us the rent on the 1st, legally we are able to serve them a 3-day notice because the rent is supposed to be due by the 4th. The only thing is that after the 4th, they incur a late fee. It's for nothing else.
What's the late fee that you're talking about here, $54.90?
That's
10% of the rent if they don't pay by the 4th. They have 4 days of grace. The rent is due on the 1st.
Mr.
It's
Nelson,
late on the 2nd.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
I don't think you ought to be a landlord. Listen to me. I don't think you ought to be a landlord, sir. Either you're playing dumb or it's not an act. I'm not sure which. Listen to me. Either you're playing dumb, Mr. Nelson, or it's not an act. If rent is due on the 1st and you have until the 4th as a grace period, and it's not until after the 4th that you incur late fees. And this notice says that she violated her lease because she owes $54.90 in late fees. My question is, for what month does she owe late fees?
The current month that this is
That's
about.
impossible. It's impossible.
Could you please repeat that?
It's impossible.
On the 21st, he told me I could stay. But again, he did it again on the 2nd of October. And he had Sophie.
The notice to vacate was for all the disturbances, and I have testimony here that's notarized.
Now, I'm going to let Miss Banks testify, since she was a resident of Rex. What you heard from Miss Smith's apartment that caused you to report to Mr. Nelson that she was creating a problem.
It wasn't what we heard from her apartment. It's what they were doing outside. They were drinking, partying until late into the night, like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Anybody else in the complex partying outside in the summertime?
The other tenants that were there that were partying with her, they are no longer there.
You know those people?
Yes, I do.
Are they gone?
All except one of them. And it was the whole block that had a barbecue for Labor Day. The whole complex came except Sophia Banks.
When you were given the notice to leave by Mr. Nelson, the last one, and you did in fact move.
Without notice. Excuse me. Sorry.
You understood that you had the ability to fight that notice because you weren't in arrears on your rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you do that?
I took my rent money that day that I was going to give him that day, and I took it and I gave it to another landlord because Sophia and her sister. October 2nd.
Okay. So you took your rent money and you moved?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you move?
October 2nd. And I turned the keys in to Sophia's husband.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I?
On the 3rd.
Here is the way she left the apartment.
I'd like to take a look at it.
In fact, it looks worse than the pig pens I had when I was raising hogs.
And cups of beer and
If we drank outside
That's the living room.
in Mr. Nelson's lease,
Okay, you left the place pretty dirty. Did you have a security deposit from her?
No, not in this one.
Okay. You left the apartment messy, but I don't have a count to claim. Okay. Ms. Smith, it's a long case. I believe that he is responsible for paying for your medical bills and then some with regard to your broken ankle. I don't find that since you didn't fight this eviction, which you could have, that he's responsible for harassing you. I think that probably Ms. Banks was just as happy to have you go since there was some acrimony that existed between the two of you and she did the wrong thing. I don't think that you're able to be compensated for that to the tune of $5,000, but I certainly think that you are entitled to your medical bills with regard to your ankle and then some. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
I believe her judgment was fair.
It was all put on. It was bogus.
She obviously saw through Mr. Nelson what type of landlord he really is.
we don't need to harass people. We either gonna fight or we're not.
I have no ill will, but I'm glad Judge Judy saw it for what it was.
Medical Secretary Gianna Hodges is suing her neighbor, housekeeper Regina Smith, for vandalism to her car. Gianna claims Regina's kids, 11-year-old Chardacia Hopkins and 9-year-old Shamara Hopkins, scratched it with rocks.
This is case number 406 on the calendar, the matter of Hodges versus Smith. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. And ladies, have a seat.
Tell me your name.
Micaiah Hodges.
How old are you, Micaiah?
I'm 10 years old.
10. What's your name?
Tredasia Hopkins. Shamira Hopkins.
How old are you?
11.
And you?
9.
Stand up with your mother. You too. Are you a friend of Makia's?
No.
Why not?
Because she's always sticking her middle finger up at somebody. She's always getting smart and all her ass.
I didn't understand that. I didn't understand what you said, so you have to say it slower.
Okay. She's always putting her eyes at people. She's always trying to get smart.
Putting her eyes on people?
Rolling her
Rolling her eyes.
Yes.
She's rolling her eyes.
Rolling. Oh.
I'm trying to understand what your daughter is saying. She's not always going to have you as an interpreter.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. How is she getting smart?
She's always sticking her finger up at people. She's always saying cuss words and stuff at people.
Really? So what do you do to her when she does that to you?
Pulled her hair.
Now, she didn't pull your hair, did she? Did she pull your hair before you pulled her hair? Make sure you tell the truth. No. Now, were you alone when you pulled her hair?
No.
Who were you with?
My sister and my cousin.
And where were you when you pulled her hair?
At her house.
What were you doing at her house?
It was in front of her house with her friends, and she was supposed to be in the backyard, and she came in the front.
What did you go to her house for?
We played in front of her house.
Why don't you play in front of your house?
Because we be with our friends and...
Because you were trying to annoy her?
No.
Which one of you scratched Mrs. Hodges' car? Raise your hand.
Neither.
Who scratched her car? Well, that's what this case is about. This case is about your two daughters who have been harassing this little girl, right?
Well,
Seems to me, based upon 3 minutes worth of questioning, that that's what's going on here, and I'm only getting a part of the story. Because rolling of the eyes does not equate to putting your hands on somebody else, right?
Well, another child might feel a little differently about being harassed in the window and out the door and out the window when her mother's not paying attention to her rolling her eyes, sticking up her middle finger. That's right, to another
fall far
child.
from the tree. That's what we got. We got an apple that doesn't fall far from the tree. We've got a mother who doesn't say to her children, you don't put your hands on somebody else, even if they roll their eyes or if they say bad words to you, which I doubt happened. But when you have a mother who condones it, then you have trouble. That's what happens. So it's up to you to take control of Smarty Pants and her sister over here and explain to them that you don't put your hands on another person unless they touch you first and you're trying to defend yourself. And if you can't teach that to your daughters, I guarantee you, you won't be visiting them at their college graduations. Guaranteed.
Well, that's what
Guaranteed.
You say.
That's what I know.
Well,
and I've been in the business a lot longer than you've been alive.
Well, that's what you say.
That's what I know. Not what I say, what I know.
Who said that I haven't taught them?
Well, you just said to me, that's the way a child reacts if somebody rolls
Well, I
their
said
eyes.
that's a child reaction, but I have talked to my children. They had no business putting their hands on a little girl. whether she's
Fine,
doing
then
that
that's
or
all you
not
have to say to me.
After all, I am a mother of 6, and I do know how to raise children.
Well, did you punish them for doing what they did?
Yes, I did.
Tell me how you punished them.
You see, I would make them stay in, and they wouldn't be allowed to play at their girlfriend's house, who does live down there in the neighbor's block.
Well, that sounds like you're making it up as you're going along.
Oh,
Mrs.
well.
Hodges, let's get on to the car. What happened with the car?
It was in August. I heard laughing outside of my door, and it was a long time with these girls coming down to the house. They went into my yard to get my daughter. That day they were kicking my door and screaming, and they were like, "Your kids are ugly. I'm help you drop your little ugly baby." At that time, my baby was 3 weeks old, and I went to my daughter's window, and it's at the front of the house. I looked out the window and I saw them out there. I didn't know what they were doing, and then I saw them run. It was the next morning that I came out and saw that they had scratched the car.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it?
I also have pictures of the car.
Do you have a follow-up report from the officer?
Yeah, what he did was he spoke to...
No. What I want to know is if there was a follow-up report indicating that the officer spoke to Mrs. Smith and her girls. The officer come to speak to you?
Yes, he did.
And your girls?
He spoke to me.
Did he speak to the girls?
Yes, he did speak to one of the girls.
Which one did he speak to?
He spoke to Shardasia.
Did you tell the police officer that you had scratched the car?
No.
Did you tell the police officer who scratched the car?
No, ma'am.
Did you tell the police officer you were there when somebody scratched the car?
Yes.
What did they scratch the car with?
I think it was a rock.
You think it was a rock? I want you to hold up your hand and tell me how big the rock was.
About this big.
What color was the rock? Black, white, brown?
Brown.
Rough edges, or was it smooth?
Rough edges.
Rough edges. Now, so we know that the rock was about this size, brown, and it had rough edges on it. Now, who was carrying it?
My cousin.
Your cousin who?
Tashina.
And who used it to scratch the car?
This girl named Justice.
Justice has a last name?
I don't know her last name.
Do you know her last name?
No, I don't.
Now, did you tell that to your mother?
No.
Is this the first time you're telling your mother that your cousin had the rock and Justice was the one who used the rock? Is this the first time you're telling your mother that? Your mother's looking like, yes, that this is the first time she's hearing that from you.
Yes.
You think that I believe you?
No.
You're right. And you want to know something else? Your mother doesn't believe you either.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. She says her neighbors, 11-year-old Shardasia Hopkins and 9-year-old Shamara Hopkins, scratched her car with rocks. Gianna also says the girls have been terrorizing her daughter, Micaiah.
Young lady, you are always in life going to meet people that are smarter than you are, because I know that you think that you're a hotshot. You're 11 years old and you know a lot, but you know nothing. So when you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. When you make up stories and you lie, you have to have a very good memory. Do you understand that concept?
Yes.
I don't know whether you do, but your mother does. Can I see pictures of the damage to the car, please?
Well, Your Honor, may I say something?
Sure.
I seen the car, and I stopped and I knocked on Mrs. Hodges' door. And I spoke to her at that time, my daughter and I, and she showed me an estimate, or told me that she had an estimate for her car for $255. She said I was going to get another estimate, and the estimate was cheaper estimate. So I said, okay. So she said,
$255 is pretty. Listen,
okay,
I'm looking at the damage here.
Well, that's what I would have, thought.
Just a minute. So what you're telling me, Miss Smith, because it's not what you put in your answer, you don't have a problem with paying for the damage because you believe your daughter did do the damage.
Of course I have a problem with
Well,
paying.
that's not, then the damage is not the issue right now.
Okay, I understand that, but
right now we have to, there are two stages to this process.
Yes,
First, we have to figure out who did the damage. And I am satisfied that she did the damage. And so are you. So are you. She knows we have a rock this size, brown in color with ragged edges that was used by somebody by the name of Justice, whose name she doesn't remember. And it's the first time since this whole thing happened that she's telling you this story, because before that she told you, I don't know anything. I was there with my friends. I didn't do anything. I mean, coming into a courtroom setting and dealing with somebody who's been around the block a couple of times, I usually get to the bottom of it. The only problem is she's not going to say to you right now, it was me. So she'll make up a story. That's why we went to the rock first. Do you understand?
I understand.
All right. Now, the issue is not what amount is going to be awarded as a result of the damage. The first issue is who did the damage. Because she didn't see who did the damage. She saw a bunch of kids out there. These two girls were near her car, which is why she came to you, which is why she called the police.
Who did the damage if
she
not
doesn't
didn't see who done it?
Just a second. Let me tell you something. She said she had seen the girls and she sent the police to your house. Even if I find that she didn't see the girls, I just got a confession from your daughter. You're not following it, but your daughter just confessed to me that the person with a brown rock with jagged edges about this size, but in somebody else's hand, did the damage to the car. And if you believe that I am going to make this award, listen to me. Listen,
I believe my daughter.
Well, you do?
Yes.
Did you believe her when she told you she didn't do anything?
Well, she was with her friends.
No.
She was with her
listen
friends,
to me.
and because the
Did
little
you-
girl don't have any
did
friends,
you
and she
believe
was
her
with
when
her
she
friends,
said-
and she has 10 or 15 friends.
Oh, college you're never going to see. Can I see the estimate,
Yeah, well, I
please?
won't.
No, you
Could
won't.
I say something, please?
You won't. A detention facility maybe you'll see, but college you won't see. Say nothing, please. There will always be bullies. There will always be people that travel in packs that do the wrong thing. Right now, that's what your girls are doing. They're being bullies, and they're bullying this young lady. They're bullying her whether they like her, whether they don't like her, whether they think she's good looking, her mother's good looking, her baby is good looking. Whatever it is, they're traveling in a pack. And they're doing the wrong thing, and they are being encouraged by pack behavior and your behavior because you're not taking what they do seriously. This is unpleasant, amoral, criminal behavior. And if you don't take it seriously, I'm telling you, college no, detention facility yes. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,300. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Like Judge Judy said, they roam as a pack, which is why my daughter is not out there with them.
She calls it a pack. I call my daughter heavy friends.
My mother has taught me better than to do those kind of things.
They're out late, they're making noise, they're doing things, and I don't know if it's not just those two.
No, my children are never out of the house after 8 o'clock.
They actually need to be taught to, not to damage someone's property.
It doesn't matter. My children did not do it. They're innocent.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pam File versus Childers. Step forward, please.
25-year-old nurse's assistant Maiva Pamphile is suing the father of her child, 26-year-old construction worker Dell Childers, for a loan. Dell says after the death of their child, Maiva kept the insurance money.
Ms. Pamphile, the defendant was your boyfriend. You had 2 children together. Unfortunately, or sadly, I read in your complaint that one of your children died. One of your
Yes,
sons
ma'am.
died. How old was he when he died?
10 months old.
This case involves an alleged loan. You claim that you lent the defendant a little over $2,000 to purchase a car that needed some repairs. Mr. Childers says you're just being mean. You collected $10,000 when your son died. You didn't share that with him, even though he feels as if he could have asked you to share that with him. He paid a lot of money over the years to you, and there was never any agreement to repay this money. That's your defense, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just curious, was there an insurance policy on your son?
Yes, ma'am.
Who took out that policy?
I did, ma'am.
How much was the funeral for your son?
$5,000.
Tell me about this loan to Mr. Childers.
Dell and I, we've been together off and on since 1996. He moved in January 2004, and he started looking around for a car. He said that he wanted to help me and his other child's mother take care of his kids. So he wanted to get
really
a car.
nice of him.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He already owes $30,000 in child support, and I lent him $200 for a down payment so that he could secure the car, and he made arrangements with the owner to come back on the 10th when I could withdraw my money once I got paid again to give him another $2,100. So that was a total of $2,300. Once he got his car, he started coming in at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, not coming home. So okay, I kicked him out because it wasn't working. So we waited a while. On the 24th, he kept calling me. He wanted to borrow some money to get an alternator.
How much more money did you give him?
Another $140.71 that I took out of my checking account using my debit card.
She used the word loan.
Just a second.
Those were...
Just shh. Do you owe her any money in child support?
I owe the state of California. I don't owe her. The whole time she had that policy out, the child support out on me, we were living together.
So, excuse me, what you're saying is during all the time that your children were born, the two of you were together, were living together?
Most of the time.
What happened when you weren't living with her? Were you sending her money for your boys?
No, but I was working and they were taking money out of my checks.
Do you have any proof of that, sir?
I didn't bring any today. I didn't think we would get that far into it.
How many children do you have?
I have 3.
3 living children. So you had 4.
I have 2 living children. I have 3 altogether.
So you have 2 living children, and now the 2 living children are living in 2 separate homes. You're not living in either one of them. Is that right?
I am living in my youngest child's life right now.
And when did you on me with her? And when did you start to live with that woman?
2 weeks ago.
Mr. Childers, it is difficult enough, sir, to raise a child as a single parent. You're not supposed to make it more difficult. You're not supposed to drain money out of that household. You're supposed to put money into the household. Do you understand?
Yes, and I've done that.
I don't care what you've done in the past, sir. That's what you're supposed to do. You made 2 children with this lady. You know, that's your responsibility.
And it is.
Anything can have children. Fish, frogs, camels, elephants. A lot of things have children. Even those animals take care of their children until they're old enough to be out on their own. All I'm suggesting to you is, if you made 2 babies, it's your responsibility to put money into their households if you're not living there in order to help support them. You're not supposed to be a drain on the household. If you can't afford a car yourself, you don't buy it. You understand each other?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,300. That's all.
I have another child, a 9-month-old with another woman. When we broke up, you know, that's why she wanted to give me back for all the money she so-called gave me.
Instead of me getting the house that I wanted, I'm still living in an apartment complex that I don't want to live in.
That's an untrue statement. I didn't take a home away from her, you know. She kicked me out before we can actually build up more money to buy a home.
It just goes to show that you can't, no matter what, how much you care about somebody, you can't lend them money.
She can't have me, and that's just how it is.
And now the next case.
All parties to the matter of Valerio versus Gunderson. Step forward.
Customer service rep Summer Valerio is suing fellow dog owner, 21-year-old customer service rep Gabe Gunderson for vet bills. Summer says Gabe's pit bull attacked her dog.
Ms. Valerio, you claim that the defendant's dog injured your dog during a fight.
Yes.
And you want the defendant to pay the vet bills.
Correct.
Dog. Mr. Gunderson says that there was a dog fight. Your dog got the worst of the fight, and your dog shouldn't have been there anyway. So you'll explain that to me. What kind of a dog do you have?
She's a Mastiff Lab mix.
That's a big dog.
Yes.
And where was the dog?
In March of 2004, I made arrangements with Janice Rawson to keep my dogs at her house because she had just bought a house, and me and my boyfriend at the time broke up, and I was moving into a condo and didn't feel it was fair to take my 2 large dogs to a condominium with me. So she agreed to keep the dogs, and I continued to pay for their food and their vet bills while they were in her care until I made new living arrangements.
Just a second. So you left your dogs with this lady in March. What's your name?
My name is Janice Rawson.
You have a large piece of property?
It's a house with a yard.
You have your own dogs?
No.
What kind of dogs? One was a Mastiff mix, and what was the other?
Pit bull boxer mix.
Also a big dog?
Yes.
Who else lives in your house?
At the time when I moved in, it was Jeffrey, her now husband, and Dustin.
Jeffrey, her now husband.
The boyfriend I had separated from. And then we got back together and got married. But it was a temporary separation. He was living with her with the dogs there at the time.
Oh. So not only did you place your dogs with her, but you placed your ex-boyfriend there too.
Yes.
Now, tell me about Mr. Gunderson.
Mr. Gunderson moved in with me when Summer...
Did you rent rooms?
Yes. I have a 4-bedroom house.
Okay, so you rented a room to him. Okay.
Mr. Gunderson moved in with me when Jeffrey moved in with Summer, and they got married, and then I rented a room to Gabe.
So Mr. Gunderson moved in with a...
male pit bull.
So now you have 3 dogs in
3
your
dogs.
house. Is that the dog that injured her dog?
No, that's a separate dog.
Well, where did the separate dog come from?
We went on vacation to San Diego. We were told by Jeffrey.
Who's we?
Me, Janice, a different group of friends of ours. We were told by Jeffrey before we left on a certain date the dogs would be gone. We get back from San Diego. I pick up the dog who got
Picked up what dog?
The dog that's the reason why we're here. The one that attacked her dog.
You mean a second dog? You picked up a second dog?
Right. Picked that dog up. I got home, found out that Jeff and Summer did not live up to their end of the bargain as far as taking those dogs back like we were told.
Your Honor. Well, why did you need a second dog?
I asked Janice, I wanted a female so I can breed. I asked Janice, she said that'd be fine.
Is that right?
Yes, but the condition was that he could only get the second dog when her dogs were gone. And it wasn't an exact date of when they were going to take the dogs back. It was a hopeful date. So he should have made sure that the dogs were gone before he actually picked up the pit bull.
Well, he didn't. So on what date did you pick up the pit bull?
October 9th.
And what date was this fight that caused the injury to Miss Valerio's dog?
On the 28th, same month.
So why didn't you tell me how to get rid of the dog?
Well, I like dogs, and it's not, and the family who had the dog before couldn't keep the dog, and so it didn't really have anywhere to go back to except for the pound, and I didn't want to see that happen, so...
Okay, so you allowed him to keep the dog there. Fine.
Yes.
Now tell me about the fight.
My other witness here is the one that broke up the dog fight and basically saved my dog's life.
Is that right?
Yes.
Good. Between the 9th of October and the day that this happened, did you visit your dogs?
Yes, and I actually, a couple weekends prior, I had taken Justice to my house for the weekend. I would take her sometimes for 3 or 4 days.
So you knew
at a
he
time.
had both dogs there?
Yes, but I did not know that that dog had a history of being aggressive. He, on the other hand, did.
Were you home when Miss Valerio's dog was injured?
No.
You were? Step up. Tell me your name. Miss Ross, you may sit down.
Noelle Cook.
I'll hear you.
Okay. I was at home, and I just heard the dogs fighting in the backyard, and I went to look over the fence, and I saw the dogs, his female and kind of his male. His male kept coming in and out of the fight. They had her dog pinned on the ground and basically tearing it apart.
And I have pictures, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it.
And also her vet bills and her medical records.
I'd like to see the pictures first.
If I may say, the vet did say that the only thing that saved my dog's life is the fact that she's 90 pounds. If she had been a smaller dog, the injuries would have killed her.
Mr. Gunderson, you understand, sir, that sometimes pit bulls have been known to be aggressive dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
How did you find out about the dog?
They lived actually across the street from a friend of mine. I've seen them before. Saw an ad in the paper. I called them, found out that it was the same people. So I've talked to them. I've seen the dog before, been around the dog before. It wasn't a big issue.
Did they have children?
They have one kid, yes.
And they felt that the dog was not appropriate to live with it.
Well, they have 2 other dogs.
Look at me.
They have 2 other
They felt that
dogs.
the dog was not appropriate to live with them. Otherwise, what reason do you have to get rid of a dog?
Yeah, well,
If you have other dogs. It's not an allergy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Mr. Gunderson, pay careful attention. I'm very smart. This dog, you knew that the dog had some problems. Is that right?
Right.
Who do you think is responsible, therefore, for a dog that has had certain problems in the past when the dog attacks again?
The owner of that dog.
That's you.
Mm-hmm.
You were aware of the dog's previous problems with the prior owner. Why you would choose to take a dog that had had problems, I don't know. And why you would choose to breed a dog that had prior problems, I for sure don't know. You have an answer to either of those questions?
I knew about the situation. I explained to Janice before I even got
I'm
the
not
dog.
talking about Janice. I'm asking you why you would choose to take a dog that had problems.
Because I had nowhere to go, so I took it.
And why, if it had nowhere else to go when you know the dog has certain character problems, why would you choose to breed a dog like that?
It's one fight. I didn't think it'd be a big deal, to be honest.
Well,
I've
now
been
you
around-
know better, right?
Yeah.
Good. Now I'll see the vet bills. That was easy.
Your Honor, each page is an individual invoice. The total actually came to what I wrote on the front. And she had to be kept in the hospital for 7 days.
Do you understand, sir? We all make certain choices when we get a pet. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to choose a pet that doesn't have violent propensities. You chose a pet that you knew had problems enough so that a prior owner was looking to get rid of it. You took it. Not only did you take it, but you made a choice, because one of the reasons that you told me you chose to take this dog is because you wanted to breed it, to propagate whatever character flaws that this dog had. That is stupid. Very stupid. It's going to cost you $2,455.50. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. We step out.
I was shown that I'm wrong in this, even though I had nothing to do with this.
When you choose to own a dog that has aggressive tendencies, or any animal for that matter, you're responsible for its actions.
When I came home from work, my neighbor's standing in my driveway with blood on her.
The defendant actually called me saying that
his dogs were attacked.
My dog also got hurt.
She just finally healed. It's taken a month and a half.
Pit bulls have a bad name for themselves because of how their owners raise them.
I don't think the breed's bad. I think it depends on how they're raised, and if they're not socialized with other animals and people, it's gonna take its toll.
20-year-old delivery truck driver Michael Johnson is suing 20-year-old landscaper Jim Cummings for sucker punching him at a party. Jim says Michael hit him first.
Order. All rise. This is case number 340 on the calendar, the matter of Johnson versus Cummings. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, folks.
Mr. Johnson, you were an uninvited guest at the defendant's birthday party. Is that right?
Not entirely, Your Honor.
Who invited you to his birthday party?
There was a group of friends that were meeting up there that night, approximately 5, including one of my witnesses, Eric Sullivan.
Who invited you?
I was
It's
told...
not an answer, sir. Let me refresh your recollection as to what you said in your complaint. On August 27th, 2004, my friends and I heard about a party. So my question to you is, who invited you?
Like I said, there was a group of friends that were meeting up there that night. I was told to come by.
So the answer is nobody invited you?
Correct.
Good. And it is your claim that when you got there, you'll tell me what happened, but that the defendant, whose birthday was being celebrated that evening at his home, right?
Correct.
Hit you, and you were injured. Mr. Cummings says you were in fact an uninvited guest at his party. He told you to leave. You hit him first, and he hit you back, right?
Correct.
How old were you?
20 years old, ma'am, on that day.
And who do you live with?
My parents.
You live in a house?
Yes, ma'am.
How big a house?
4-bedroom.
Where were your parents?
My parents were vacationing.
Got it? Had you discussed having a party at the house before they went on vacation?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many people did they say that you should have at your party?
They said 20 people was fine.
How many people showed up at your party?
20 to 25 people.
So you were 5 over quota.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Johnson, tell me what time you got to the party.
It's approximately 11:30.
Where had you been before?
My house.
With whom?
I was a designated driver for my friend Erica and Renee. She came by my house, picked me up, then we picked up Erica and went up to Nashua.
What happened when you got there?
We got there, we ran into a few of our friends. There was approximately 5 out of 30 to 40 some odd people that were actually there. I had asked my friend Corey if he knew who lived there. He didn't know. On my way up from the basement where I thought I heard some people that I knew. I did not. Came upstairs, someone had approached me, said, "Do you know, is Cummings down there?" And I said, "Sorry, I don't know who Cummings is." He laughed and walked away. Now, next thing I knew, I was surrounded by approximately 5 people, 6 people. One of them had said, "Do you know who Cummings is?" I said, "No, I don't." And then he said, "Why don't you try and guess?" So, not knowing who he was, I said, "I don't know, you?" And they all started laughing. Now, the only one who wasn't laughing was the defendant, and he came up to me.
Because his name is?
Jim Cummings. He then approached me, gave me an open-handed slap in the face, and said, "You and your friends get the F out of my house." I then turned to my friend Erica. I said, "Well, seeing as how I was just slapped, I think it's time to leave." A couple people had stopped me, asked me what happened. I said, "I just got slapped in the face by the person who lives here, and I'm leaving." And then the defendant came back out and said, "All right, it's getting too loud. Everybody needs to get back inside the house." He was looking at me when he said this. I said, "Well, I think I'm going to leave anyway."
Good idea.
I thought so. So I was walking to the car. It was parked inside of a cul-de-sac. We were walking to the car, and there was a girl there crying. She's like, "Oh, this is garbage. I'm so sick of this. I want to get out of here." And I said, "Hey, somebody else who hates this party."
Is that this young lady here?
Yes, it is.
What were you crying about?
That there were so many people there and it was getting outrageous.
Because why?
Because everybody was a little intoxicated. There really wasn't that many people there. It was like...
I asked you a question. I didn't ask you for a whole tale. I said, why were you crying?
Because there were too many people there and it was getting outrageous and the neighbors were coming over complaining. And
good, now you can sit down. Okay, so?
So as I was walking to the car and I said that to her, next thing I know, out of right field, he comes up running from behind me. That's my effing girlfriend. He swings me around and punches me in the face at the same time.
Mr. Cummings, is that what happened, sir?
No, ma'am.
Why don't you tell me your version of what happened, Mr. Cummings? Were you drunk that evening?
I was slightly intoxicated as well as everybody else that was at the party, including him.
Well, I don't know, just a second. I don't know whether he was intoxicated at all, sir. But I do know that if you were celebrating your 20th birthday, you were intoxicated.
Yes, ma'am.
And is this your girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Cummings, I want you to understand something. The reason your girlfriend was crying wasn't because there were too many people at the party. That's a fib, she just told me. I believe she was crying but she was crying because something happened there at the party, because she's not so responsible that she's out there crying because there are too many people and the neighbors are coming over. Somebody told her to be quiet. That's not why she's crying. Either you said something to her or something happened there that upset her. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, good. How old are you?
17.
17, because I know 17-year-olds. They don't get upset because there are too many people at a party. They get upset because maybe their boyfriend says something that they don't like. Maybe you were flirting with somebody else. Maybe you said something that wasn't nice to her. All of those things are possibilities, not because the party was too loud. That wouldn't.
Cynthia Zane is.
So now let's get back to, you tell me your version of what happened to Mr. Johnson.
He was being loud and obnoxious all night, and the neighbor from next door, she has small children, and I respect that, and she came over and asked me to quiet the party down, which I then asked a couple of my friends to go around and say, hey, calm down, and I did too. And I asked the defendant to calm down and his friends.
Where was he when you asked him to calm down?
He was inside the dining room drinking Bacardi-O. He came to my house with a half a bottle of Bacardi-O, which I assume the other half was consumed when he was at his house.
Go ahead.
I asked him then to leave. He got up, and then we were walking outside. Words were exchanged. He was swearing at me, saying, F you, why am I leaving this party? He was very upset because he had to leave and other people weren't leaving. I told him because my neighbor, asked me to calm down, and he was the only one that seemed to not calm down, was him.
So you're telling me, sir, that the story that Mr. Johnson just told me about going outside and seeing your girlfriend crying, that wasn't true. Is that what you're telling me?
No, he may have went outside.
Go ahead.
He may have went outside and seen my girlfriend crying, but that's not true, no.
Mr. Cummings, is what you're telling me that Mr. Johnson was not telling me the truth when he said he was outside of your home already before you hit him, and that's when he saw your girlfriend crying?
I don't know if it was at that same time, Your Honor. She was crying all night.
Why was she crying all night, Mr. Cummings?
Because she was upset with me.
Why?
Because we had broke up during the night. And so it's alcohol and booze and drama. That's what it is. It's a teenage party, It's a teenage party. That's how it is.
Listen to me, Mr. Cummings. I'm aware of that, sir.
Okay.
That's why I said she wasn't telling me the truth when she gave me the reason that she was crying. Right?
Correct.
And that's why you're not telling me the truth, sir, about when this altercation took place with Mr. Johnson, because it took place outside. Not inside.
I was not done my story, Your Honor.
Then get to it, Mr. Cummings.
At that point, I asked him to leave. We went outside. He was exchanging words with me and swearing at me. And
Just
he
a
went
second.
outside.
If you asked him to leave,
okay,
and he went outside, why were you going outside?
because I was making sure that he was leaving because he seemed to be the most obnoxious person there, Your Honor.
Not quite.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
We went outside, and at that point, he then pushed me, and I pushed him back. And then he swung at me and hit me, and I counterpunched him in the face, and then he was gone. That was it, and I didn't hear anything until this.
Who else was outside with you, Mr. Johnson?
I was, Your Honor.
Step up. Name?
Erica Galvin.
What happened outside, Miss Galvin?
Outside, we were going to leave, and everybody kept on stopping to ask us what happened. So it was kind of a delayed departure, but we did end up making it halfway to the car when Michael saw apparently his girlfriend and said, hey, somebody else who doesn't like this party. And that's when he came from behind him, grabbed him on the shoulder, and then punched him in the face as he was turning him around.
Sounds right.
And then that's when me, Eric, and a few other people tried to break it up, and 6 of his friends came flocking over and said, stay out of this is not your fight. And we just kept on saying, we just want to leave. And I'd like to include that there was about 40 people there, and most of them were outside. And it was a kegger, so people were paying to get in. That doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be a definite invitation.
There has to be a definite invitation if you don't want trouble, right?
If you don't want trouble.
If you don't want trouble. And when you have a kegger, you don't have 17-year-olds at the party, because if you have 17-year-olds at the party and serving alcohol, you're breaking the law. You're aware of that, Mr. Cummings, aren't you?
Yes.
Perfect. Can I see your medical bill, please?
Yes, there are a few of them here.
Anything else you want to say to me?
I was not drinking at the party. I had not drank.
Is what you stand up?
Yes, I was
stand
not.
up. I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question.
Sorry, Your Honor. I was not drinking.
I didn't ask you whether you were drinking or not. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Is your statement that you weren't drinking as truthful as your statement moments ago that the reason you were crying is that there were too many people at the party?
Well,
I want you to think about my question. You have to process my question.
I was not drinking. My parents, we live in the same neighborhood, me and Jim.
So just answer my question. So were you lying to me before when you said to me that the reason you were crying is because there were too many people? No. He says that the reason you were crying is because he had broken up with you.
I was upset that we broke up, but I live up the street, so if there was a loud party, my parents would come down and see me there, and I would not.
Sit down. Sit down.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, Michael Johnson claims he was punched in the face by Jim Cummings. Jim says Michael crashed his birthday party.
Go ahead.
After approximately 5 days of not being able to chew solid foods, I was on the slim fast and pudding diet. That is accurate.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, I have a friend a foot taller than him that wouldn't take him.
He's a big guy and he was drunk. That's why he was so nasty to his girlfriend. She forgave him. You forgave him, right? Huh?
Yes.
Stupid! Listen, Mr. Cummings, I don't believe you, sir. I believe that this young man came to your house. He was not invited to your birthday party by you.
I apologize, Your Honor. I just wanted to...
Perfect!
I just wanted to...
Perfect! Apology is accepted.
Thank you.
This young man came to your house. He was uninvited by you. But it was a party, and that's what happens when teenagers and young people hear about a party around. You know, they hear the words, party, parents gone, on vacation, let's go have a good time. Came to your house, and there was absolutely no reason for you to hit him, except that you'd had a little too much to drink, and you have to pay for that. He's suing you for his medical bills, man. Not much for pain and suffering, almost $1,800.
Only $500 just for the pain and suffering.
I would have sued him for a lot more. He's got to be taught a lesson. Can't put your hands on somebody. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount requested, $1,779. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was just wasted, just yelling and being obnoxious, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we were there for all of about 10 minutes. You know, I was driving my friend's car. I wasn't drinking a thing.
He just put his hands up at my girl and I just punched him in the face.
I can't even understand why you got so mad about it. I said, hey, somebody else who hates this party, rock on.
The moral of the story is, don't mess with the wrong people.
Gotta get a tooth yanked. Looking forward to some more pain.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bump versus Hansard, step forward, please.
Policeman Marcelo Bump is suing his neighbors, Jamie Hansard and his brother Nathan Hansard, for damaging his Mustang GT when they shot off fireworks on the 4th of July.
Mr. Bump, the two defendants are your neighbors.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that last July 4th, your two neighbors were setting off firecrackers. Some of the firecrackers landed on your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Causing damage to your car's paint.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want them to pay for the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
The two defendants acknowledged that they were setting off firecrackers.
Yes, ma'am.
But that there were a lot of people setting off fireworks. And there's no way to tell whether your fireworks were the ones that actually caused the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
30.
And you?
I'm 25.
Are you related to each other?
We're brothers.
Do you live together?
Yes.
Who else lives with you?
My 3 children.
Now tell me about the fireworks you were setting off.
We were shooting fireworks that...
What kind?
They're different names. Some Tommy guns.
Tommy guns.
Cherry bomb.
Cherry bomb.
Black Widow. Black Widow. 4th of July.
Just a minute. Black Widow.
4th of July.
So you had at least one of each of these things.
Several.
Where did you buy them?
North Carolina.
Where do you live?
Georgia.
You bought them in North Carolina. And where did you shoot them off?
In our parking lot.
In Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you buy them in Georgia?
Because you can't buy them in Georgia.
Why not?
They're illegal.
So you just traveled a little bit and went to North Carolina and bought them there.
Yes, ma'am.
And despite the fact that the law precludes you from using them in Georgia, you used them.
Yes, ma'am.
And now you expect a court to be fair to you. Is that what you're telling me?
I admit I broke the law. But damaging his vehicle is a different story.
Just a minute. No, you're not saying that you didn't damage his vehicle. What you're saying, I believe, is there were a lot of people that were violating the law, and there's no way to tell whether it was my Tommy guns, cherry bombs, Black Widows, 4th of Julys, etc., that actually caused the damage. Because there were a lot of people.
There were a lot of people shooting fireworks, so...
There's no way to tell. Is
There's
that
no
right?
way to tell that it was ours, no.
Correct. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
We don't believe that his vehicle was damaged by fireworks, period.
Fine. That's a different story. There was no damage to his car, then you wouldn't be responsible. But let me tell you something. When you break the law, and you broke the law in front of your 3 children, which is even more vile, because then what you're teaching your children is there are certain laws that are meant to be broken. There are certain laws you can pick and choose what laws you want to obey. That's the message you're sending to your children. It's ridiculous for the state of Georgia, where we live, not to have fireworks. So you don't have to obey that law. If you want to shoot off fireworks, you can. Is that the kind of message you want to give to your kids?
Some may portray it that way, yes.
What do you mean some might portray it that way? That's exactly what you did. You knew it was against the law to purchase fireworks. You knew it was against the law to shoot off fireworks in the state where you live. Despite that, you, who are the custodial parent for 3 children, who was supposed to teach them the difference between right and wrong, you've taught them that they can selectively choose what laws they want to adhere to and what laws they can break. Because they say, listen, my father breaks the law. My father does things that the state says he can't do. You're teaching your children that breaking the law is okay, and that's the wrong thing. And then you can't come to court and say to me, or to any judge, he has to be able to establish beyond a reasonable doubt that it was my fireworks that damaged his car. No, he doesn't. He just has to be able to prove that you, against the law, were shooting off fireworks in the proximity of his car that could have damaged his car, at least in my world. The issue is not really whether you are responsible if there was damage to this car. You're responsible. The issue is, was there any damage? That's what you say. There was no damage. So, now, we've established one thing. Now you can show me the damage.
Ma'am, I have some digital pictures taken of the vehicle.
You have an estimate to fix it?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I have pictures of the same vehicle and the same area. They show no damage, and they were taken 3 days ago.
Let me see. I see both.
I also took several shots of other parts of the car to show that weren't any damage to it either. Because I believe the estimate that he had stated that front fenders, hood, several parts.
Oh, I see the damage, sir. I don't know where your eyes are. I see it. It's just that your pictures are farther away than his are. His are close by. I see the damage, the exact same place where it shows here, right above this little thing. I see it. You should look a little bit closer or get your eyes checked.
Okay.
Anything else anybody wants to say to me?
I have an estimate that states what he was claiming. His estimate claims as far as clear coat on the damage of a car can't be damaged by fireworks unless they're shot completely, right on the paint. Something that hit it or landed on it said it can't be damaged. I don't know. That's just a statement that a body shop says.
You have a witness here for me to read?
No, ma'am.
You don't have?
No.
Yes, we do have a witness.
You have a witness?
I have a witness to state what we did, but not as far as
I know what
body
you
shop.
did. You told me what you did. You illegally purchased fireworks. You illegally shot them off. What do I need a witness? Is that what they did?
That's fine.
Perfect.
Well,
Your witness corroborates that. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $923. Thank you very much.
You may step out.
I feel like Judge Judy made the right decision.
Everyone was just having a good time. It's 4th of July.
They did admit to me that they were out shooting fireworks.
I didn't feel we had done damage to his vehicle.
Damage something you need to pay for it.
Next case.
All parties in the matter of Yuan versus Todd Lamb. Step forward, please.
Mechanic Stanley Ewan is suing his neighbors, Vanessa Lamb, her son, 11-year-old Javante Peck, Victoria Todd and her son, 11-year-old Devon Todd, for throwing eggs at his apartment. The kids say Stanley threatened them with a shotgun.
Mr. Ewan, it is your claim that these boys egged your apartment.
Yes, they did.
Caused some damage, and you want to be compensated for the damage.
Yes, they do.
And their mothers say that you just don't like children, especially their children, and that you threatened the boys with a shotgun, and that there wasn't any damage to your apartment. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Ewan, you live in an apartment complex?
Yes.
Do these boys and their families live in the same complex?
No.
Okay. Now, when did this incident happen with the eggs?
June 28th, about 9:30 in the morning.
Tell me what happened at 9:30 in the morning, Mr. Ewan.
Well, at 9:30 in the morning, I had a friend over. We're watching the ball game. Heard a commotion on the other side of our fence, and there was about 8 kids fighting and harassing, saying bad names and stuff. I went
saying
out.
Bad names to whom, sir?
Well, to each other. You know,
So they were calling each other names. And
fighting, pushing, shoving.
now, was this in your complex or was this in their complex?
It was in their complex.
Okay.
I went outside and told them to break it up and go home, and they did so.
Did you have a shotgun?
No.
Did you say anything else to them?
Not at that time. I went back in. About 10 minutes later, 4 of them came back and threw the eggs.
Where were they when they threw the eggs, sir?
On their side of the property, on the other side of the hedge.
Did you see these 2 boys?
Yes, I did.
Did they throw eggs?
Yes, they did. Got pictures, and I got
I'd like to see the photographs, please. Was your door open, sir?
My sliding door was open, my screen door.
So the eggs got on your carpet?
Got on the carpet, got on the couch, on the front of the couch there, and it also got on the paint.
Do you own this house?
No.
You're a renter?
I rent.
Who paid for the outside cleaning?
It hasn't been cleaned yet. That's just an estimate.
It has not been, but you don't own the outside?
No.
Okay. Why didn't somebody just go out there and hose it off?
I tried to hose it off.
Well, it doesn't look like anybody tried to hose it off, sir, because it's still
After
dripping.
the pictures, I did try to hose it off.
And what happened?
The egg, it was so hot out that day that the egg dried onto it, and when I tried cleaning it off, it stripped the paint off.
Okay. How old are you?
11.
What's your name?
Javante.
And how old are you?
11.
Your name?
Devon.
Do you remember the day that Mr. Ewan is talking about?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
All right. We were right over by the fence, and Javante and another kid was fighting.
What were they fighting about?
I can't remember, but they were like arguing. They weren't putting the
What were you arguing about, Javante?
We were arguing about who can knock who out and this and that.
So you were talking, I mean, that's not smart. Why were you angry at these other people?
Yeah.
And were they angry at you?
Yep.
And were you calling each other bad names?
Yes.
So Mr. Ewan came out?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said, "You ugly MFers need to stop making all this noise before I go get my shotgun."
So what did you do?
So then all of us boys went over to our houses and got eggs and went over there and threw eggs at his house.
Why did you throw eggs at his house?
Because what he was being racial.
He was being racial?
Yeah.
So that's the way you resolved it. You went over, got some eggs, and you decided to vandalize his house.
Yep.
What'd you do?
I got an egg, and when they started throwing the eggs, he came out. I dropped my egg and ran.
So now I'd like to hear from the mothers. Who wants to speak first? Go ahead.
Okay, as I was getting out my shower, I had about 3 kids run up in my house yelling and screaming where this man put a shotgun on them.
Well, now you know that wasn't true. That was a lie.
I wasn't there.
Just a second. But now you know that was a lie.
No, I
Mr.
don't
Ewan,
know that.
Sure you do, because Mr. Ewan says it wasn't true, and your boy says it's not true. He says Mr. Ewan didn't pull a shotgun on him. Mr. Ewan told him to get out, or he was going to get a shotgun. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
So he didn't pull a shotgun on him. He threatened him. Got it?
I still, like I said, I wasn't there, so I do not know.
Well, I want you
other kids.
pay
The other kids said.
Speaking. Pay attention to what I'm saying. Your son says, you don't think your son is a liar, do you?
He will.
Well, you don't think that he would lie to make it appear that Mr. Ewan was a nice guy, right?
No.
If anything, he would lie and say he was a terrible guy, right?
And he has.
Just a second. Just a second. So when he says to you, and to me, that Mr. Ewan didn't take a gun, Mr. Ewan said to him, "You don't get out of here, I'm going to get a shotgun." You think that that's the truth? You think that Mr. Ewan brought out a shotgun? That's what you think? Is that what you think?
I didn't find out till a couple days later, and my son said that no one pulled a shotgun. He said that
nobody pulled a shotgun, right? You saw a shotgun?
I saw the end of it.
You're full of baloney. You're full of baloney.
Don't even have a gun.
You said there was a pawn shop.
Oh, yeah,
Listen,
at a pawn shop.
Listen to me very carefully. Your son says that he never pulled a shotgun, that he threatened him. So they came back, you were in the shower, you heard what you thought you heard, and what did you do?
Got all the other kids' moms, went over to the managers, addressed the issue for us and pulling the gun, called the police. The police came out, and then they talked to him, and then they talked to us, and the other it's another guy that's involved in this as well. Anyway, to make a long story short, he was concerned as far as they can't search my house because they don't have a search warrant.
Listen to me. Don't worry about Mr. Ewan.
I'm just saying.
Don't worry about Mr. Ewan. So your son came to you complaining, if you listened carefully with both ears.
He wasn't the only one.
I'm speaking. Your son came to you, and if you were listening carefully, he said that he was going to get a shotgun. Because you say he wouldn't lie about it. And he says he never pulled out a shotgun. He said he threatened he would get it. Isn't that what you just said to me?
Yeah.
Right. Stop speaking. Try to put your listening ears on. Didn't you ever say that to your son? Put on your listening ears. But while you were getting the other mothers together, the boys went and got eggs and went back to his house and egged his house. Right? Mm-hmm. Did you think that was right?
No.
So what did you do about it? That's not a hard question. Your son went and vandalized somebody's house. What did you do about it?
He was disciplined.
Tell me how.
No sweets, cookies, pop, restriction, not...
Oh, come on. I don't believe a word of that.
Well, I mean, that's my form of discipline.
I don't believe that you disciplined him. Javante, let me tell you this. When you fight with people, that's bad. So if you were fighting with people that day, and who was going to knock who out, that doesn't mean you're too intelligent. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because that's not the way you start playing 9 o'clock in the morning. I assume school was over so that you had nothing to do. When you have nothing to do, what you're supposed to do is not fight. Find something to occupy your time. Maybe your mother will take you to the planetarium. 9:30 in the morning, she was just taking a shower. She should get up a little earlier in the morning if she has young children to make sure that they are adequately supervised. Now, when you do something wrong, you're supposed to acknowledge that you did something wrong. It's not my job to tell this man who's how old?
50.
50? How to conduct himself? And if this man who's 50 says something untoward to your children, their response is not to go over and vandalize his property. That's not the proper response. He's too old for me to deal with. They're not. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. If somebody is stupid and says something to you that you don't like, your response is not to hurt them. Right?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $457, which is the amount that I have here in bills. Goodbye.
Why is that something you may step out?
Well, I thought it was full of crap
I think it was fair.
because he's a liar.
The kids have been a problem.
This man he's a big bully.
Come by my place threatening me,
Of all the kids that go over there to play,
talking bad to us.
and I think that we should have won.
Well, I think the parents need to respond a little better.
We went over there and there was no damage.
She said they went straight to the managers, which wasn't right. They came to my place first.
If it was damage, the police would have filed a report, and all of that, if there was damage.
They called the 911, which they shouldn't have done in the first place.
He even said, Mom, it might not have been a real gun, it could have been a water gun.
No, I didn't say I found one. I just said he said that he was going to get one.
And they do make BB guns that look like, a real gun.
There wasn't any guns involved.
I think it is boys being boys.
Didn't even damage his house.
He doesn't like children, period.
I'm just glad it's over with.
Next case.
All parties in the matter, Pounders versus Mansour. Step forward, please.
28-year-old student Sarah Pounders is suing her former friends, Tamara and Michelle Mansour, for the unpaid balance on a Saturn SL1. The couple claims Sarah forgave the debt.
Miss Pounders, you violated one of my first rules of life. You sold a used car to friends. Right?
Well, frenemies, yes.
What did she say?
Frenemies.
Frenemies?
Yeah, I was kind of making a joke. How friend and enemies, the word together is frenemies.
Only Bird makes jokes here. Okay, when did you sell them the car?
On March 4th of this 2004.
What kind of a car was it?
A 1997 SL1 Saturn.
Car that you liked?
Yes.
Thought it was a good deal?
The deal was good. It worked out good because she would let us make payments, and we were in the process of buying a house, so it worked out really good.
So it was a good deal?
Yes.
So why didn't you finish making the payments?
Because Oliver and me used to be...
That's Oliver.
Correct. We used to be really good friends, best friends for a while, and I used to live in the same apartment complex as Sarah. They ended up being friends, they were dating for a while, and then they broke up. And then in between, when I saw Sarah on and off, she would always say, oh, I miss Oliver, I miss Oliver. One day, me and my wife were talking, we really needed to get a second car, and so we coincidentally came home and saw a for sale sign on Sarah's car. And I went and talked to her. Oliver was with me that day when I went to see her, so she was excited to see him.
Get to the point. You bought the car.
Well, it leads up to it, because it's hard to, when we got home, there was a note on our door from Sarah saying that I'll take $200 down and I'll take $200 a month. You don't have to pay it on the first. If there's a problem with the car, you can take it off the payments, and that was it.
Show me the note.
I don't have the note on me, but I don't think she denied the fact that she wrote it.
Yeah, I read in that note something like
And what was said in the note? Let's see if we agree what the note said. That she would take $3,600
Yes.
Take payments of $200 a month.
Certainly.
That you didn't have to make the payments on the first of the month.
Right.
And that if there was something that went wrong with the car, they could deduct that from the money?
Right.
That was an idiotic thing to say.
I know, I agree.
But you agree that you wrote it?
Yeah.
What else did the note say?
That was the most important part. The rest was just...
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So you decided to buy the car.
Yeah.
Now I got the backstory. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Get on with it. Why did you stop making payments on the car?
Later on, me and Sarah were talking on the phone, and she said, "Oh, I'm so happy that you hooked me up with Oliver that I'm not worried about it. You can just keep the car." Word for word.
And you said, don't be ridiculous. We had an arrangement. I'm glad that you and my friend Oliver are back together again, and I wouldn't think of taking advantage of our friendship like that. Of course I'm going to continue to make payments. At what point of the conversation did you say that, sir?
I didn't say that, because Sarah doesn't need to worry about money. She's a trust fund baby.
Maybe that's why you think that you didn't have to pay her.
I didn't have to pay her because she said that.
Did you say that to him?
I absolutely did not.
Absolutely not. If she wanted to give you the car, she would have given you the car. I don't believe you.
Well,
I
it's
don't
hard to
believe you.
her,
And you
too.
want to know something? If I don't believe you, then you're a liar.
Well, I'm
Because it
not
doesn't
lying.
make. Oh, yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No.
And not only that, but you're
You
not
don't know Sarah
honorable.
either.
Not only that, but you're not honorable. What do you want to show me?
I am honorable, because after
He's
that,
on
I
probation
continue to
for
pay
breaking
it.
into a car and attempting to steal it. And oh, I thought you motioned for me. Sorry.
I don't do much around here. Let me do that.
Can I make a comment? He took the title out himself, filled it all out, and told me, "This is what you do. You sign here. I know all about selling cars, buddy. It's all right. You can trust me. You're my buddy." And he told me that if I were to sign, I would still be the legal owner of the car. He would just have to do that to insure the car. And that's why I signed it, because I trusted him as of my friend.
He's a slick liar, and you signed this bill of sale? Did you sign this bill of sale?
Yes. Sarah's a habitual liar herself. She filed the Grateful Dead concert.
Is she
for
a
2
felon?
years.
Is she
No.
a convicted felon?
But she's an acid
That's
person.
just is she a convicted felon?
No, but she does acid.
When you went, listen to me. When you were arrested by the police and you appeared before the court for the first time, did you enter a plea? I'm speaking to you.
I refuse to answer that question.
Oh, God, listen to me. Don't sell anything to friends. You always wind up the short end of the stick, especially when you're dealing with people who have no moral fiber at all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,900. Thank you.
She thought that she wanted to get all the money up front because her mom threatened to take her trust fund away from her.
No, that's not true.
I don't ever want to speak to her again. She's just a habitual liar. I hope she got what she wanted today.
Hammer did it to himself because it wasn't my choice to make Oliver not his friend.
But I'm not a liar, I'm not a habitual liar. Even after she said that, I still continued to make payments on the car.
The habitual lies, it was just too much to take.
William Richard is suing his son's former friend, 20-year-old home health aide Crystal Davis, for vandalizing his home. William says Crystal and her friends threw 2 open cans of paint through his front window.
This is case number 193 on the calendar in the matter of Richard versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Is this your mother?
Yes.
Mr. Richard, it is your claim that the defendant, along with 2 others, vandalized your home a little over a year ago. Is that right? Now, Ms. Davis says that while she was with these 2 other people who vandalized your home, she really didn't do anything herself. She was just in the car with them.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I understand the relationship between the 2 of you. Your mother was dating his son.
No, she wasn't dating his son.
She was what with his son?
He worked on her cars and he helped fix things around her house.
You mean there was no relationship other than that of a handyman with your mother? Is
Yes.
that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right, sir?
No, sir.
It is your claim that your son and this lady had a relationship
My son lived with her about 2 years
in her house.
in her house.
And it is your claim that the relationship was more than that of just a handyman.
Yes.
And at some point, you got annoyed with his son.
Yes.
Why, Miss Davis? I'd like you to speak up so I can hear you. I'm getting older.
He threatened my mom's life. He put his...
Why would he do that?
He was crazy. He was jealous. I don't know.
He was jealous? Well, why would a handyman be jealous of your mother?
He liked her and she didn't want nothing to do with him.
Did he live in your house?
For a couple months.
So the answer is he lived in your house?
Yes.
And he liked your mother?
Yes.
And she didn't like him?
No.
Tell me about the vandalism to your house, Mr. Richard.
They threw 2 buckets of paint through the window and went all over the furniture and carpet and everything.
Do you have pictures of the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please? Had your son moved home when this happened?
No, he was living with me because we was remodeling the place.
What I'm asking you, Mr. Richard, is had your son left Miss Davis's home at that point?
Yes.
Now, tell me what happened on June 30th, Miss Davis. And I want you to keep your voice up and keep your eyes over here.
He had called my mom several times that day, threatening her life. And
You mean his son?
Yes. And he called my grandparents, threatening them. He threatened me and my brother's life. I told a couple of my friends what he had been saying, and...
You told who?
2 of my friends.
Names?
Chuck and...
Chuck what? Who else did you tell?
Well, his friend. I don't know his name.
You told them what?
What his son had been doing.
Okay. And then what happened?
They said they knew how to get back at him. They got 2 cans of paint, and we drove in his car.
In whose car?
Chuck's.
And where did you go?
To his son's house.
Well, you didn't know that Chuck's friend, is that right?
No, I'd only met him a couple times.
And Chuck? Does Chuck know his son?
Yeah, he's met him.
Where?
At my mom's house.
But you knew where he lived?
Yes.
They didn't know where he lived. So you had to give them directions?
Yes.
Right. So you gave them directions on how to get there. And what happened when they got there?
They pulled up in front of his house and got out, threw the paint through the windows, got back in the car and left.
Okay. On June 30th, my friends took it upon themselves to vandalize Tony Richards' house. That's what you wrote here, right? As it's stated in the police report, I didn't throw the paint, so no charges were filed. Did you tell the police that you went to Chuck's friend's house when they gathered the paint together?
No.
No. Did you tell the police that you gave them directions on how to get to Mr. Richards' house?
No.
No. How come you told me? Because I asked you?
Yes.
And because you knew that you couldn't lie to me. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What makes you think that you are not responsible for the damage to Mr. Richards' house?
Because I didn't do it.
Because what?
I didn't actually throw the paint.
Is there something wrong with you?
No.
You are responsible. You instigated it. You were involved in gathering the materials for the vandalism. You were responsible for directing these other 2 people, if they were in fact the ones that threw the paint, directing them how to get to Mr. Richards' home, something that they did not know. You are responsible. You understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. It says, his son's former friend vandalized his home with paint. Crystal Davis says she didn't act alone.
Now, you decided not to pursue this matter because your son asked you not to. Is that right?
My son did it on his own. I didn't know nothing about it.
Did what on his own?
He didn't press charges on it because he made a deal with her mother.
Drop the charges.
That she would not file charges against him if he wouldn't file charges against them. The next day, she filed charges against my son.
Is your son in jail now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he crazy?
No, ma'am.
How many times has your son been arrested?
I say 3 or 4 times.
That's not true. Step up. Miss Davis, clearly you exercised poor judgment in having this person move into your house. I'm surmising that there was more to this relationship than either you're telling me or that your daughter's telling me.
There's more.
There's more. Okay. Do you know how many times Mr. Richards' son was arrested?
36 times on separate accounts.
Can I see, please?
Yes.
How many of those involved you?
He was never arrested on my account, unfortunately.
Okay, but he was arrested 36 times on other charges.
On other charges, such as armed robbery, all those there listed.
Check if the defendant's criminal history reveals that he has been arrested 36 times on such violent charges as armed robbery, breaking and entering, prowling, burglary, DUI, carrying a concealed weapon, a machete, drug possession, felony battery.
I don't know nothing about that.
Well, you got to listen. You got to pay more attention to what's happening in your own family, Mr. Richard. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That, madam, does not excuse trashing his house. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see the bill for cleanup of this house, please?
Your Honor.
What?
May I get to say something?
Sure.
All these papers here are restraining orders that I filed.
I think he's a bad person. Miss Davis, that doesn't give your daughter license to trash Mr. Richards' house. Do you understand that?
I understand that.
Right, it doesn't give her license to take the law into her own hands and throw paint through a window at his house.
I understand that, Your Honor.
Good, that's all.
It's not all. What this man has put us through, and
Which
my
man?
family, his son.
He is not responsible for his 43-year-old son. Are you responsible for what your daughter did?
In a way, yes, I guess I am.
Good, then you can pay the damages. His son put you through a lot. What possible motive would you have to bring a nut into your house?
He was referred to me as a mechanic and a handyman.
So you bring a 40-some-odd-year-old man into your house. You have no idea about his background. It turns out he's been arrested 36 times. That doesn't make you a genius.
Well,
in any event, his son may have caused you all kinds of aggravation, but that doesn't give your daughter license to trash Mr. Richards' house. And if you don't see it, then I understand why you brought this 40-year-old felon into your house.
Your Honor.
What?
My son met her at a bar.
Listen to me. Your son is where he belongs. He is in jail. I hope.
But this is what brought everything up.
Listen to me.
To this deal.
Listen to me. Your son is in all probability a nut. That doesn't mean that she wasn't a lonely lady, but your son is a nut. That doesn't excuse what she did, and for that you're going to get paid. And since her mother says, well, I'm partially responsible for what she did, she can help.
Well, I certainly wish the law had helped us in all this whole time.
Madam, if you exercised better judgment, you wouldn't be standing here today. That doesn't excuse what Mr. Richards' son did to you and your family. It doesn't excuse the fact that the law may have been slow in moving to get him out of your life, but it does not excuse your daughter's criminal behavior.
So what about responsibility of the two gentlemen who did do actually throwing of the paint?
Listen, you can, if you like, sue them and say, my daughter didn't act alone. There were three of you. It's not up to him to go find these two other people. She doesn't even know the name of one of them, according to her, which I don't believe. How is he supposed to find out where they are? She knows where they are. She enlisted their assistance. It's her responsibility. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Why did I dispute it? You may step out.
The system is certainly for the criminal, not for the innocent victims.
She's playing the victim because every time something comes up, she calls the police, has them arrested, but stop.
She would never got involved with something like that if it hadn't been that this man had been harassing me.
We met her in a bar. 15 minutes later, they had her out on the hood of a car.
Your son has stalked my mom.
I don't know that. That was between my son and her mother.
I didn't actually do it, and anything he did get, he deserves.
I would have pressed charges against the criminal.
And now the next case.
Hunter Pelletier is suing his former friend, Alexandria Allen, for a washer and dryer.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2043, Pelletier versus Allen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This young lady is a friend of yours.
A former friend, correct.
How friend?
I met her from another mutual friend that I had, and we just formed a relationship together, just a friendship.
Are you married?
I'm not, I'm single.
Any kids?
No.
And what about the defendant?
She does have 2 kids and she is married.
Currently?
Yes, currently married.
Are you also friendly with her husband?
Yeah, just friends. We were, yeah, before all this took place.
So that all of you were friends?
Yes, at one point, yes.
Case is relatively simple. Miss Allen's washer and dryer stopped working.
Correct.
You had done some odds and ends things for her in the past.
Yes, worked on her car and stuff.
And did you find, or did she find, the used washer and dryer?
She asked me for recommendations and she found it on the selling app for used items.
So you told her where she might look for it?
Correct.
And she found it on an app online?
Correct.
Okay.
No, actually...
Look at me.
Okay. He made the recommendation to me.
Did you go on the app yourself?
No, I did not.
So you never saw the washer and dryer?
Well,
is that what you're... Just a second. So what you're saying, I just want to be clear. So I said, if you didn't go on the site, then you never saw the washer and dryer.
May I speak now?
Either you did go on the site and see it, or I didn't go on the site. I didn't see it.
He sent the picture of them to me, just a screenshot. That's all I got.
Okay. How old are you?
32.
You have 2 children?
Yes.
Did the screenshot show you where they came from?
I have a photo of them, and it doesn't say anything.
So is what you're telling me you didn't know where they came from?
Well, there is a name of the site. Would you like to know that?
I want to know if you knew it.
Yes, I know.
All right. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. You knew the site where the photo came from. So let's say you are correct, and I don't know. You said you needed a washer dryer. You say he found the washer and dryer on a site, sent a photo to you and said, is this what you're looking for?
Correct.
Right? And on that screenshot was the site.
Right.
So you had at least access to the same site that he did.
That's correct.
And did the site give you the name of the person or persons to contact with regard to the washer dryer?
There was no one's name, just a phone number.
Did you call a phone number?
I didn't call them.
Who called them?
Mr. Pelletier.
Now, Mr. Pelletier didn't call them unless you said they looked fine.
Well, I did say they looked fine.
Well, what else did you say?
Based on the picture, they looked.
Just a second. Just answer my question.
Okay.
Because what happened here is really relatively simple. And I don't know whether you're a simple person, but it's relatively simple. You had a friend. You told him I needed a washer and dryer. Mine broke down. He said, this is a great site. According to you, I'll look up. And he looked up the washer and dryer, and you did nothing. You who needed the washer and dryer, you must work very hard. How many jobs do you have?
I have a couple of jobs. My children are a big job for one, and 2, I'm a full-time university student, so I am busy.
So you should be able to get a washer and dryer by yourself. You farmed that job out to him.
I did because he volunteered to help.
Doesn't matter. He didn't volunteer to help unless you told him I need help. I mean, is what it is. Are you using him? I'm not sure.
I wouldn't.
I'm not sure. What do you do for him?
I watched his cats. When he went out on a vacation with his grandmother, and I took care of his cats free of charge because I didn't expect him to be gone that long either. It was over a week, and I had to buy the cats food.
So just a second. So you watched his cats?
Yes.
And is what you believed that him taking care of getting this washing machine payment for taking care of the cats?
Well, not just that. There's other things that happened while he was installing the washer and dryer.
I don't care about things that... What I'm asking you is I'm trying to figure out what kind of person says to a friend, I need a washer and dryer. He said, as a friend, I'll see if I can help you. You have time. You also go on the computer and figure it out. Being a full-time student is nice. That's what you chose. Somehow, you also support yourself and your 2 children. I don't even want to go into how that's done. However, you said, go get the washer and dryer. And he went, how long?
It's 50 miles from my house, an hour and 45 minutes.
Each way to pick up the washer and dryer that you authorized him to get. You said, go get it. It was $1,800.
Correct. And she offered $200 tip for the delivery of that.
For you?
Correct. Okay. And I have texts of that.
That's reasonable because you spent 3.5 hours in the car. Now, do they live on the 1st floor?
The 3rd floor.
3rd floor. Is it a walk up?
Yeah, stairway up to the 3rd floor.
So somebody had to go up and take the old washer dryer out. So Miss Allen, was that you or your husband?
Mr. Pelletier also removed them.
No, you can move your mouth. It's okay if you move. It's okay if you move your mouth.
I feel like I was being very kind because I didn't decide to sue him for his cat or the damages he did to the cats.
I don't know what your excuse is.
I feel like
I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you feel like.
And later today.
When we went to transfer the title over together at the DMV, I had to pay off whatever tolls that I had. So between that time and the time where he ended up taking the car back, I don't really know how there was $600 worth of tolls.
I don't know either, but that's what I'm going to find out.
Hunter Pelletier claims his former friend, Alexandria Allen, is responsible for the cost of a washer and dryer.
The plaintiff walked up the 3 flights of steps, carried each of the washer and dryers downstairs, took the washer and dryers from downstairs up the 3 flights, got them installed, and you didn't like them. They were a different color.
And they're busted up. They don't even work properly.
Okay. Miss Allen, when did this happen? In what month?
January 7th of 2022.
You have receipts for different washers and dryers that you purchased since January of 2022?
I don't have the receipts, no.
That means that you didn't purchase them.
Well, I never paid him for them.
No. that means that you never purchased new ones. That means that you're still using the ones he bought.
Correct. But
Right.
it does not work well.
Just, you bought used washer and dryer. You've been using them January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, 8 months, and you're still using them. And you neither paid for them, nor did you pay him for delivery. And I don't know what your excuse is.
I feel like
I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you feel like. You made a contract with him to go and pick up washers and dryers, disconnect yours, take them out of your house, install these, lay out the money to pay for these, use them for 8 months, and not pay them because you weren't happy with them.
I feel like I was being very kind because I didn't decide to sue him for his cat or the damages he did to the cows.
I'm telling you, you should stay in school. How much did you pay for the washer and dryer?
$1,800, and I took the money out of the bank. She had asked me because her ATM has a low limit, so I went into the branch of my own bank.
That's what you're suing for $1,800.
Yeah, I wanted to get the $200 if possible, but at this point, I just want the money for the machines.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. $1,800.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It damaged the walls of my apartment. They banged it up.
She saw right through everything, the damages, she said.
The machines were overpriced.
None of that happened for me. I'm not a professional installer.
I don't think he cared because it wasn't his money.
At the time, they were less than 6 months old from original purchase date, so they were still worth the money that they were asking.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to be friends anymore.
I don't need friends like that, no.
So this case touched a little upon agency, like an agent-principal relationship, where here the plaintiff was actively acting as her agent by going and picking up these washing machines for her. They had had communications beforehand about, this is what they look like, this is what they cost, I'll do it for you for $200. Is this what you want to do? She says yes. You don't get to just then back out of it because you don't like the color. You knew what they looked like, you knew they were used. There was no bait and switch. I was almost waiting for an explanation, for a bait and switch, he put the nice ones in his house and then gave me not so nice ones, but there was nothing. There's very rarely do we see no excuse for.
And she's using them.
Yeah, still for almost
they're all
a
banged
year.
up. They were all banged up. Well, that's what happens when you buy something that's used. When you buy something over the internet, which is really what she did, she could have just as easily said to him, before you load them in the truck, please take pictures of them so that I see them.
Yes, she could have.
So she could have. Did nothing.
That's not his fault.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Also allowed him to take the other stuff down, put the other stuff up, and then say, well, they were banged up. And
$200 to move 4 heavy machines is a low price as far as I'm concerned.
Not a friend anymore.
Yeah.
Case number 2017, Alvarez versus Coover. All parties, please step forward.
Avery Alvarez is suing his former friend, Brianna Coover, for toll charges.
Mr. Alvarez, this is not a very difficult case. It's a question of dates. You bought a new car.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew the defendant somehow through her boyfriend or?
He's my cousin.
Okay, so you purchased a new car. You had an older car that you were still paying off. And Miss Culver needed a car, and you made an arrangement with her where she would take over the monthly payments on your old car so that you would just be paying your new car. And when she finished making the payments on the car would be hers.
That's correct.
You did, in fact, conclude that agreement, and Miss Coover did, in fact, pay off the car.
Yes, ma'am.
She paid off the car. However, she did not register the car in her name.
That's correct.
And you had your plates on the car, and it is your claim that while the car was in her possession, she racked up $600 and some odd in toll fees.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which is what you're suing for.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Coover said that didn't happen. She had her own Easy Pass, toll pass, whatever it is. And there was no way that those tickets were incurred while she was in possession of the car. And additionally, she's got some very sad story. She paid off the car. She didn't register it for some reason. She didn't register it, which I don't have to get into. You took the car back because you were afraid that your plates were on the car, and you started to get these dunning notices for tickets. Then you had to give the car back because you had given her the title to the car when she finished paying off the car, despite the fact she hadn't registered it. And then you took the license plates back, which is a very smart thing to do, because then she couldn't use them to get through the tolls. And because you took the plates off and she didn't register it and get new plates, it was towed from her parking space at a condo, taken to a lot where she didn't have enough money to get the car out, and the car was auctioned off, and now she has no car, and you have $600 worth of tickets in your name.
Yes, ma'am. You got it.
Is that it?
That is a version of the story, yes.
Well, I will let you tell me a different version.
Everything is true. Thus far, we did have the agreement where he wanted a new car, I needed a car.
No, I got that. I just want to know what I said that was incorrect. I just made it shorter.
Just to clarify, when we went to transfer the title over together at the DMV, I had to pay off whatever tolls that I had before they're able to transfer the title over. So that was done. So between that time and the time where he ended up taking the car back, I don't really know how there was $600 worth of tolls.
I don't know either. That's what I'm going to find out. But is there any part of the story that I just told that was inaccurate? He transferred over the car to you. You had possession of the car. He didn't.
Correct.
Other than you who drove the car. Come on, that's a question. And other than you who drove the car.
Nobody.
No. Who drove your car?
Avery and Alvarez claims his former friend, Brianna Coover, owes for toll charges. Brianna says she already paid for the toll charges.
He says that you had possession of the car. He got notification that there were tickets. You say that you didn't go through tolls. He said, I didn't have possession of the car. Is there anything that is incorrect about that? So it's just a question of dates. It's not a difficult case. It's a question of dates.
Correct.
Okay, so give me the date that you made this arrangement to pay off the car.
I don't know the exact date.
What?
Took over the car payments starting July 2019.
And when was it paid off?
May 16th, 2021.
When it was paid off, did you sign the title over to her and the lien holder did?
Going back and forth at that time, I was trying to get her to come over to where I live so we could go to get the car transferred. We ultimately settled on a date, and then the DMV over there said that she had to have a sheriff verify the VIN and the odometer before we could transfer it over. I guess it's a rule in the county. So at that moment, then yes, we signed it over to her so she could do it at her local DMV.
And that was on what date?
That was July 9th.
Now, between July of 2018 and July of 2021, did you ever drive that car?
No, ma'am.
When did you initially take the car back from her?
I took the car back September 11th of 2021.
And how long did you have the car when you took it back because of these tickets?
I texted her on September 15th and told her that she could go pick the car up, because I had found out that I
couldn't do that.
Exactly.
I was self-help for that.
Correct.
Okay, so you had the car between September 11th and September 15th.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that period of time, did you ever drive the car from July 18th until the present time?
No, ma'am.
So if there were any tickets that were accrued, it was either by the defendant or somebody who drove the car with defendant's permission.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the dates of the tickets. Ms. Coover, you don't question the fact that between July 2018 and today's date, with the exception of between September 11th and the 15th of 2021, he did not have possession of the car.
Correct. The only reason that when we transferred the title over, we had an agreement.
Just a second. That's all I asked you. This is not a conversation. I just want to know who got the tickets. Whoever got the tickets is responsible for them. Mm-hmm. So he only had the car, so if there are any tickets there that were between September 11th and September 15th in 2021, they belong to him. Any other tickets from 2018 July until infinity are yours. Well, we have invoice date is 7/28/21. That would be you.
Correct.
June 30th, 2021. 7/1/2021, 7/2/2021, again 7/2, 7/3, 7/6, 7/6, 7/7, 7/8, 7/8, 7/22, and 7/28 of 2021. Those are all you.
Correct.
August 28th, 2021. That would be you.
Yes.
3, 3, 6, 9, 19, 28 of 2021. August. That all would be you.
Yes. I never argued that that wasn't me. I'm just, from the moment that we officially transferred the title over, we were not able to transfer the title over until I paid.
Oh, just show, you paid these?
And we were together.
Now, just a second. Show me that you paid them.
I have this receipt.
Just show me that you paid them. That's it.
And that would have been what was due at the time when we transferred the title over.
I'm just going by the dates of the tickets, madam. I don't care how the government screws up. That's not my problem. Okay, show me your payment. May I see it, please?
It should say the date there and the cost of those tolls on the day.
This is your SunPass. You replenished your SunPass.
That's a payment to SunPass.
For $154.
And that's what it was on the day that we transferred the title over. So my thing is, from the day that we transferred the title over to the day that he came to my parents' house and like took the car, there was no way that I racked up $600 in tolls.
I don't know whether you did or didn't. Then take that up with Department of Motor Vehicles. That's what they say you racked up between that period of time. He didn't have possession of the car. You had possession of the car from the time he transferred over the car to you. You had possession of the car. He didn't.
Correct.
Well, other than you, who drove the car? Come on, that's a question. And other than you, who drove the car?
Nobody.
No. He never drove your car?
No.
Who drove your car?
I did.
Who else?
Nobody.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $654. We're finished here, thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Quick and simple case. She did what she needed to do.
I can't really say I'm super surprised, I guess.
She's asking for a payment on the tolls and I wasn't getting any responses.
I don't know how in literally 3 months I didn't rack up $600 in tolls.
It is what it is.
He was okay with me continuing to use his
Take my license plate with me.
license plate until one day he wasn't, and then he wanted all that money.
So, what would be your takeaway from that?
I think as a layperson, my takeaway would be if you're going to sell a car, especially to someone you don't know well, it's not a family member, it's, either a stranger or acquaintance, take your own plates off the car. Get a receipt, bring it to DMV, because your name, your address, your phone number will be tied to tickets, SunPass charges, and even maybe an accident. You just don't want your name associated with the vehicle anymore once you relinquish your ownership of it. So
That's
take
the
your plates.
takeaway. That's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Case number 2021, Parker versus Miles. All parties, please step forward.
Frankie Parker is suing his tenant Miranda Miles for the cost of a French bulldog.
Mr. Parker, this case is about a puppy that you allegedly sold to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
That you want to be paid for. She has some sort of nonsense counterclaim.
Yes.
Which I will get to and resolve quickly.
Great.
So, Mr. Parker, you have a home that has 2 units in it?
We have a triplex, so it's a house and then it's a triplex behind the house.
So you live in the main house?
Yes.
Behind the main house, there are 3 units?
Yes.
When did you rent one of the 3 units to the defendant?
I rented it to her around February. I think I put the ad in early February.
Of what year?
2022.
Is that correct, Ms. Miles, that you moved into the unit in approximately February of 2022?
It was March, but yeah.
You put the ad in February?
Yes, ma'am.
Moved in March. And what was the rent that you had?
$12.50.
You have children?
Yes.
How many?
1.
How old?
9.
According to what I read, you decided to go into the dog breeding business.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew nothing about dog breeding.
Well, I know about dogs, but I didn't know about French bulldogs. That was kind of new to me.
What is your regular business, sir?
Property management.
Other than the property that you live in, do you have any other property that you manage?
Yes, ma'am.
You're really supposed to be sort of an expert before you go into the breeding business.
Yeah, well, I had
dog
a
breeding
lot of
business.
help.
That's sort of a foolhardy thing.
I had a lot of help. I wasn't by myself. I had people that was already breeding. They had 20 years.
Okay, so you had somebody to
yes,
give you
ma'am.
sort of instruction.
I didn't just jump into
Okay.
it. Yes, ma'am.
And you decided to breed French bulldogs.
Yes, ma'am.
You purchased your first 2 French bulldogs, a male and a female, when?
I purchased them around January.
Of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you bought another one.
Yes, ma'am. Another good
When
female.
did you purchase the other one?
I bought the other female around February.
Okay, that's about the same time that you posted an ad for this unit that you moved into.
Yes, ma'am. All around the same.
And that dog, I believe, based upon my recollection and my memory isn't what it used to be, I think the dog's name is Dolce.
Dolce, yes, ma'am.
How old was Dolce when you purchased her in February?
She was approximately 3 months.
How much did you pay for her?
I paid $3,200 for her.
And did you have AKC papers for her?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, according to your complaint, when the defendant moved in, she moved in March, she moved in with a 9-year-old daughter. The 9-year-old daughter saw this dog, Dolce, became attached to the dog,
yes,
fell in love with the dog, and the defendant agreed to purchase the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And you acknowledge that you agreed to purchase the dog?
Yes.
In March of 2022, how much did you agree to pay Mr. Parker for the dog?
When I went to the apartment, he's told me $2,500.
He told you
that's not true.
Now,
It's at $3,500.
Miss, shh.
Frankie Parker claims his tenant, Miranda Miles, owes for the cost of a French bulldog. Miranda is countersuing for harassment and invasion of privacy.
Miss Miles, I want you to think more clearly. Try to be clear. He had just paid $3,200 for the dog.
I didn't know that.
So, according to you, he agreed to sell you the dog for $2,500.
Yes. And then he changed it to 35 when I moved in.
Oh, so before you moved in, he said 25, but after you moved in, he said 35. Did you agree to pay him the 35?
Yes.
Okay, so now you have an agreed price of $3,500, which sounds more reasonable than 25 because he paid more for the dog.
Yeah, that's not entirely true. I told her $5,000 at first, but we do a co-ownership, which brought the price down to $3,500.
Okay, right now, she agreed to pay you $3,500.
Yes.
She doesn't understand from co-ownership. You're talking about breeding down the road. Did you pay him any part of the $3,500?
No.
Okay, now let's go further. Are you still living in the unit behind him?
Yes.
So now that's March, April, May, June, July, August. Did you pay March's rent?
Yes.
April?
Yes.
May?
Yes.
June?
Yes.
July?
Yes.
And August?
Not yet.
Did she pay everything except August so far?
Yes, but I had to take her to court to almost evict her to get the money.
Okay. When did you start eviction proceedings? In what month?
I started eviction proceeding in June.
How much behind in rent was she?
She was just that month, but she had been late 2 prior times. So
okay, how late is late?
Well, I give you a grace period up to the 4th. Sometimes it's like the 10th.
Sometimes it was like the 10th.
Yes.
So we're not talking about months late.
No, she was never. She always paid.
When you took her to court to evict her for non-payment of rent, she came up with the money.
Yes.
Now we're August 5th. Now, did you pay your rent?
Not yet.
Why?
Honestly, I'm struggling. I'm unemployed right now, and he knows my situation with my bank and my account right now, and he knows why. I have no funds at this moment.
Oh, but that's his business.
I get it.
See, that's his business. Do you work?
Not at the moment.
Why?
Because I got fired.
Why?
Because I didn't have transportation, and I
So you didn't go. Well, if you don't go to work or if you come late, then you get fired.
Right, and I also have health problems that I've been going through as well.
That is also, Miss Miles, not his problem.
I know.
Now, I'm going to go back to something that Mr. Parker said, because I think that it's sort of important for me to be able to resolve your counterclaim, because for sure you owe him the price of the dog, which you still have, correct?
Yes.
Did he discuss with you a co-ownership of the dog, which would mean that you would share the litters if the dog was bred?
Yeah, he did. I wasn't very clear about it, but yes, he did, and I was willing to do that, so I was able to afford the dog.
That's going to help me resolve the issue. And you gave him no part of the $3,500?
No.
So, do you want to tell me what your defense is to this? Because your counterclaim is ridiculous. I don't even remember what it is. For harassment, slander, invasion of privacy.
He comes to my house, knocks on my door randomly all the time, every day.
Then move. Just a second. Then move.
He put cameras on all my neighbors.
Listen to me.
I don't have the money.
Listen to me. Move.
I don't have the money.
Well, that's, again, not his problem. He wants his rent on time, and he would like to be paid for his dog.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to something that's viable. Okay? Let's talk about this breeding of the dog, which I think would be absolutely ridiculous. Have you taken the dog to the vet?
Yes.
Dog's gotten its shots?
Absolutely.
Okay. And other than the fact that you say you're not working, there's no reason that you're not paying him for the dog, which you originally agreed to.
No.
$3,500, judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
But Your Honor, she's supposed to get full breeding rights.
I'm not giving her full breeding rights to anything. She can't take care of herself or her 9-year-old. She has no money. How is she going to breed a dog?
We can't do the co-ownership.
No, well, you're not doing a co-ownership, sir. She just bought the dog for $3,500.
Period. That was the agreement.
Just a second. You keep the papers. Do you understand?
Okay.
Do you keep the papers? She doesn't get the AKC papers.
Okay.
She keeps the dog, which means she's going to take care of the dog, get it spayed, do whatever she's supposed to do with the dog.
Okay.
You get $3,500, and don't make deals like this again. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
This court is adjourned.
I wanted to either have the full dog and not no co-ownership, but I guess it didn't work out for me.
You know, I was trying to get the whole amount, so we won't have to do a co-ownership anymore. So you can either get the dog, the whole rights to it, or just pay me out.
I think he was trying to help me pay for it, and that's why he said the co-ownership, because I was unable to pay for the whole $5,500.
The whole rights to it, or just pay me out, you know.
I think that's what he was trying to do.
But I think overall the judgment was fair.
We live next door, so we have to.
I hope that we can actually do this together, and
we're good. Me and him are good.
I hope it does run smoothly and we don't have any more like mishaps.
The case itself was easy, Sarah. Promised you buy the dog. Your daughter is in love with the dog. And he said, well, I can't pay for it. this time the dog's attached, and he seems like a very, very nice man. But we had two little Maltese dogs once. I don't know if you remember.
I remember the stories.
You remember the story? You were too young to remember the dogs. They were two little yappy Maltese dogs, and we thought it might be an interesting experience to breed them.
Oh, yeah. Two New York City judges.
Two New York City judges decided that it was the worst experience. First of all, I remember after, and I think we had two or maybe three in the litter, and I couldn't leave them home. So I would take them in a box in my car to the courthouse and open the drawer and keep them in the drawer so that I could feed them, because this mother that wasn't a very good mother for the dogs, and she didn't want to be bothered feeding, so I had a bottle that they had to be fed every 2 hours.
Oh my goodness.
It's
a full-time job.
It was a full.
You get involved.
It was a full-time job. That's it. But it was our last time. You really have to know what you're doing. Otherwise, it's really not fair for the dogs. That's one of the reasons why she did not get the AKC papers, because she's having a hard enough time taking care of herself.
But now she has a pet that her 9-year-old and her can enjoy, and that's the end of it.
That's it.
Daniel Gray is suing his former friend, Tony Woods, for car damages after a night of drinking and driving.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2018, Gray versus Woods.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Everybody sober today? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yeah.
You?
Yes, I'm sober.
Yes?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Everybody. Okay, good. You two gentlemen know each other. You went out for an evening. I assume there was some drinking, and your car got totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant was driving your car when it got totaled.
Yes.
The defendant says, well, he was drinking a little bit, but he says that you don't remember because you were so blotto that you were driving. Right?
Yes.
So that's what the case is about. Simple. Two drunks, nobody knows who was driving the car when it got totaled. Let's see if we can decipher it. If we can't, I may not care. Because you're not supposed to be in a car when you're drunk. Otherwise, you can kill a lot of people, as we all know. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Want to drive drunk and kill yourself, that's one thing. Right? You take a lot of other people down, and sometimes you make it out. So you have to be understanding to the fact that the judicial system really doesn't give a rat's behind if the two of you were drunk and in a car, and neither one of you was together enough to know who was driving the car. When did this incident happen?
It was November 27th, 2021.
How long have you known Mr. Woods, Mr. Gray?
I've known Mr. Woods about 20 years, I would say.
So you've known him since you were kids?
Yeah, since high school.
And you have gone out frequently?
Yes.
Does he come to your house?
Yes.
You go to his house?
Occasionally, yes.
Occasionally. And where were you going on the 27th of November?
We were going downtown Ann Arbor to attend some festivities from the Michigan versus Ohio State football game.
To a football event?
Yeah.
How did Mr. Woods get downtown?
Well, Your Honor, I got dropped off.
By whom?
My friend.
Friend's name?
Lauren.
And where did she drop you off?
She dropped me off in front of Starbucks downtown where they were waiting because they were drunk. I didn't drink.
Just a second. Lauren dropped you off at Starbucks. Where were you supposed to go from Starbucks?
We were supposed to go to a club and hang out after the game.
So you first went to the game?
No, they went downtown right after the game, and I came to meet up to hang out.
So it was all after the game?
Yes, yes, yes.
What time did Lauren drop Mr. Woods off at Starbucks?
I would say it was around like 3, 4 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
I believe so.
What time did Lauren drop you off?
It had to be about 5:30, 6 o'clock.
And when you say it had to be 5:30 or 6 o'clock, how do you know that?
Because the game was over.
I don't know. I don't watch football, so I don't know when it starts and when it finished. Do you remember what time the game finished?
No, I don't remember exactly.
Okay, so let's say Lauren dropped you off at 5:30. How did you set the time for Mr. Woods to meet you so that he could join your party? The game is over different times. Did you text him? Did he call you?
So on the way, we had left from my barbershop, me and my witness here, Mo Chop.
So you weren't at the game, you were in a barbershop?
Yeah, we were at the barbershop at first. We watched the game.
Oh, you watched, so you didn't go to the game?
We didn't attend the actual game, no.
Okay.
We watched the game at the
How many people, you, Mohammed, and who else watched the game at the barbershop?
I mean, the barbershop was full of, we were still working at the time. We had left work after the game was over to go downtown to...
Were you watching the game or were you working?
I was doing both.
I would have hated to be your last haircut.
No, actually, it wasn't a lot of people there because that was the biggest game of Michigan's season, the last game, Ohio State. It's a big rivalry, so nobody was in our barbershop.
So
really.
It was just party? It was...
It was just party.
You know, I'm old.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was just party. You said, Mohammed.
It was a party.
It was just party. Okay. So you left the barbershop, but how did you find out to meet them at the Starbucks?
We have been communicating through text.
So you knew what time they were leaving the barbershop, and then you got dropped off. Now, what were you doing with Lauren?
I was waiting to get to them.
Where were you before?
I was at home. I watched the game at home.
With Lauren?
No, with myself.
Well, how'd you get Lauren to take you to Starbucks?
Oh, I just asked her and gave her some gas money.
Okay, so now you're at Starbucks, you meet up, and who's driving?
I was driving.
Okay, and that would have been a mistake.
Excuse me?
That would have been a mistake. I wouldn't get behind the wheel of a car, sir, if I was at a party all afternoon watching a big football game.
Ma'am, I wasn't at a party. I was at my barbershop.
I know you were at your barbershop.
Yeah.
Look at Mohammed. I know you were at your barbershop, sir.
There had been any drinking going on at that time.
There was no drinking in the barbershop, Mohammed?
There was people participating. Some people weren't. Some people were. I wasn't. I wasn't participating.
All righty. Okay. So now you go from this party in the barbershop all afternoon from this very big game, and you pick him up, and where were you going?
At that point, we decided to go to a bar.
Where was the bar?
I'm not familiar with downtown Ann Arbor area, but like it was a bar that was suggested by...
Stand up next to him. He's not familiar with a whole lot of things. You suggested a particular bar, Mohammed?
Yeah,
How far is that from the Starbucks where he was dropped off?
about a couple blocks over.
Okay, and you were in the car?
I was in the car.
Were you sitting in the front or the back when you picked up Mr. Woods?
I was sitting in the passenger seat at this point.
So Mr. Woods got in the back?
Yes, he did.
And you were going a couple of blocks to the bar?
Yeah.
Step by step, what happened next?
So traffic is jam-packed down there, so we really just inching to the bar. We get to the bar, we go inside, we have a couple drinks.
Okay, so now it maybe 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
6:30?
Yeah, dark outside.
And you have a couple of drinks at the bar?
Couple drinks, yeah.
What were you drinking?
I was drinking water.
That's not a drink that they like to serve at a bar.
I was a designated driver, so after we left the bar.
Okay, so you were the designated driver, and Mr. Gray was drinking?
Yes.
What was he drinking?
I don't remember what his drink is.
You remember what you were drinking?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
I had one beer.
Okay. Even he can't keep a straight face. You know, it's hard. It just, don't speak. Now, you were the designated driver. When were you designated the designated driver?
Well,
so think very careful. Before you answer my questions, you know. Okay. I'm already 2 steps ahead of this game. When were you,
I've watched you on TV, yes, I know.
When were you designated the designated driver?
When we left the bar, I was the designated driver.
No. So it was when you left the bar?
Yes.
And who designated you the designated driver?
Well, I kind of designated myself. I'm pretty familiar with the Ann Arbor area. It's actually my idea to go downtown, so.
So you asked Mr. Gray if you could drive?
Yeah, I thought it would be the best idea.
And Mr. Gray said okay?
Yes, he did.
So you drove, and where were you going from the bar?
To another bar.
Better pickings at the other bar?
Just bar hopping, you know, college, downtown, football.
Okay, and what's the name of that bar?
Where do we go from there?
No! Speak. Yes, I look at you. The name of the other bar. Okay, now he helped you with that, right?
Yeah, he jogged my memory a little bit.
He jogged your memory.
Yeah.
So if he knew the bar, why did you have to be the designated driver?
I don't think I understand your question.
It's very easy. You said you were the designated driver because you know that area.
Right. I'm saying I didn't remember what bar we went to. I'm very familiar with the area. I just didn't remember what bar we were going to that night.
Okay. What happened when you got to the second bar?
We had some more drinks and...
We had some more drinks?
Yes.
What was Mr. Gray drinking?
You know, I was talking to some other friends that I met up with there. He was off doing his own thing. I don't remember what he was drinking.
What were you drinking?
Water still at this point. Water. Yeah. I like to stay hydrated.
Daniel Gray claims his former friend, Tony Woods, drove drunk and crashed his car. Tony says Daniel was the one driving drunk and wrecked his own car.
Okay, so now you had a couple of drinks, you had another glass of water. Yeah. Mr. Gray and Mr. Woods both were drinking alcohol, and what happened next?
We left there, we went to get something to eat.
Where did you go to eat?
We went to, what's the name of that place?
I don't know the name of the place, and he's not going to tell you.
It's a hot dog place. It's right around the corner from where we was drinking.
And then what happened there?
We got something to eat.
Okay, do you remember what time that was?
You know, I really don't.
Well, you've been already to 2 bars and a place to eat. So, and if you started out at 6 o'clock, it had to be closer to 9 or 10 o'clock.
Right, yeah.
Okay, then what happened?
Came out of the restaurant.
And you remember what you had at the restaurant?
I had some waffle fries.
And do you remember what Mr. Gray ate?
He had a hot dog.
And do you remember what Mr. Woods ate?
He also had a hot dog.
Good. So you came out of the restaurant. Do you remember who paid the bill?
I think we all paid separately.
Okay, so now you come out of the restaurant.
Yeah, we come out the restaurant, I got eaten already. This when Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying a little bit, charged at me from across the street. You know, I tried to get him.
But just a second.
Okay.
How did he get across the street?
Well, the restaurant was across the street. We parked across the street from the restaurant.
Okay, I got it.
So I had already got back to the car.
Okay.
And Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying, and he ran across the street and tried tackling me, and he got me around my waist. I tried to put him in a headlock, but you see the size of his head. And that just continued throughout the night, this horseplay.
No. So he's horseplaying with you.
Right.
But you get into the car. You said if you continued all during the night. What I want to know is, from the place where they got hot dogs and you got waffle fries, did you get back into the car?
We did get back into the car. We went one more place.
Okay. Now, when you got back into the car, after the 2 dogs and the fries, who was driving?
At that point, I think I was still driving.
Not think. I don't want to think.
I believe I was driving. I dropped myself off to my next destination because I separated from them two.
You went to one other place?
Yeah.
With them?
With the 3 of them, yes.
And when you got to the other place, you went in or you did not go in?
I went inside, yeah.
Okay. Did you stay there?
I did stay there.
And what about the 2 of them?
They went wherever they went. Back to the barbershop, I believe.
And you were the designated driver.
Up until.
So you were drinking the water.
Yes.
And they were both drinking alcohol. Yes.
Yes.
What do you mean, yeah? You go to at least 2 bars, maybe 3. You have a whole afternoon of drinking at a barbershop. Not you were drinking water.
Water, yeah. I don't know what.
Then you get dropped off. You was the designated driver. Now they're nowhere near home. So you knew one of them was going to be driving.
Right.
And as far as your testimony is concerned, you were left in the last place that you visited. They went out to go someplace else or go back to the barbershop.
Right.
Did you see them again that evening? Is not an answer. I mean, we're coming to court today. You know, it's not a photo shoot. You came here for testimony.
I don't believe I seen them that night again.
No, I'm just talking about that night. That's what we're talking about, that night. This is the night of the accident, the 27th of November, 2021.
I didn't see them again.
You're in a club. You don't know what happened. Now, when they dropped you off, did you go outside with them or did you just stay in the club?
I stayed inside.
So you don't know anything else?
What happened after that?
Now you can sit.
Thank you.
Okay, now, your witness, the designated water drinking driver, has dropped himself off, and the 2 of you go outside. What happened?
After he gets dropped off, we are parked at a bar. And
just a second. He stays there. You get into the car because you're going to another bar.
No, not at this point.
Where were you going?
I was getting ready to go to my barbershop.
He's not with you. Who was driving?
I was driving at that.
Okay. And you were driving to take yourself back, according to you, to the barbershop.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Okay, so we get to the barbershop and I leave the car running. He's in the car with me.
Just a sec. Got to the barbershop and you left the car running for what reason?
Because it was cold outside. It was snow. It was it's November.
Well, what were you going to the barbershop for?
I went to the barbershop because I needed to use the restroom.
And the barbershop is close by to this last bar you were at?
Yes.
How close?
Maybe like 2 miles.
Okay, so you went to the barbershop. You left the car running and?
So I go in to use the restroom and I leave the car running and Mr. Woods was sitting in the car still. So as I'm in the restroom, he comes in and started knocking on the door and says that he had lost his phone when he had got out the car where we were parked at.
Where?
The last bar that we were at. I didn't actually go into the last bar. We was parked there. We were about to go in to meet up with him.
What do you mean to meet up with him? He was with you.
As he said, he met up with another friend.
He didn't tell me that. He said you just dropped him off at the other bar and you weren't going in, just he was going in. You dropped him off. That's what he said.
No, he went in.
I understand he went in.
All right, I never went in the last bar.
Okay, you didn't go and neither did he.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking you. You said I lost my phone someplace.
No, where we were parked at, he got out the car for a second. I never got out the car. He got out the car for a second. And
what was he doing when he got out of the car for a second?
He thought we were about to go in, but I told him that I needed to use the restroom. So he got back in the car. But at some point when he got out the car, he dropped his phone. So I told him I needed to use the restroom. So I go to my shop to use the restroom. I park the car.
Got it.
I get out. I leave the car running. I go in, use the restroom. He comes in, knocks on the door, telling me that, hey, yo, I lost my phone. Can I drive the car? Let me go pick it up real quick. And I tell him no. Like, just wait, I'll be out in a second. So he leaves. I hear the door open and close. I'm thinking that he's just going to sit back in the car. So when I come out of the restroom, my car is gone. I call him and he's not answering the phone. So I keep calling. And then the next, like 10 minutes later, he answers the phone. So I knew he went to go get his phone.
He found his phone.
Yes, and I'm furious at this point because he just left me in my
At the barber shop.
Yeah, in my car. So I tell him, bring my car back right now. He said, I'm on my way. I'll be there in a minute. About 15 minutes later, he called me and say, yo, man, you gonna kill me, man. I just crashed your car. I'm sorry, bro. And I had to walk all the way to the accident scene to the car where he crashed my car at.
Now, you have an accident report?
No, I don't have an accident report.
Why?
Because we never called the police.
That's
because
probably a good idea.
He wasn't involved with another car. He just hit a pole.
I understand that. That's still an accident report. The only reason you don't call the police is because both of you were drinking.
Well, I wasn't driving the car at that time.
When you were driving the car to the barbershop, right?
Yes.
From the last bar where you dropped Mohammed off, you were driving.
Yes, but I was not drunk though, Your Honor.
If you're not drinking, it's sort of an interesting thing. Everybody's definition of drunk is different. Your friend Mohammed said that he was the designated driver, so he was just drinking water. That's what he said.
That's what Mohammed.
Which suggests to me that we had a full day of drinking, starting at the barbershop, watching the game, from the game to 2 or 3 bars, then for a bite to eat.
No, I wasn't drinking at the barbershop. I didn't start drinking until we got to the first bar.
Okay, so now you started to drink at 6 o'clock. Now it's 10 o'clock, and you've been drinking from one place to another. I'm just saying you got behind the wheel of the car, and you had been drinking. Now, did you hit a pole?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Daniel Gray has accused his former friend, Tony Woods, of driving drunk and wrecking his car.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Okay, first off, I ain't eat no hot dog. So I never.
You didn't what?
I never had a hot dog. Never ate hot dog.
Strike the hot dog.
No hot dog.
Whitney, he denies the hot dog.
The hot dog either.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Denies the hot dog.
Okay, so for what happened after they got in the car? First, they were very drunk.
Just a second. You don't have to tell me. All 3 of you were drunk.
I wasn't drunk yet.
Okay. By the time the car got trashed, you were drunk. Let me tell you what I believe.
Okay.
So that you can pick it up from there.
Okay.
I believe that Mohammed was dropped off at the last bar. So there came a time at the end of the evening when it was just the 2 of you. I don't know who's driving, I don't know who's the passenger, but I believe that they dropped him off because otherwise Mohammed, who appears here as a witness today, would have had a better story because he says, I don't know what happened afterwards, because I wasn't there. So there was a time at the end of the evening that just the 2 of you were in the car.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
Okay, can I tell you before that part though? Because he was driving down the wrong way of the street.
But there's no question in my mind he shouldn't have been behind the wheel of the car.
And that's when I lost my phone and my wallet and we were wrestling in the street. He actually attacked me.
Let's move forward.
Okay.
There came a time when just the 2 of you were in the car.
Okay.
When was that?
Well, we were sitting in front of a bar that we were about to go to. I got out the car and I dropped my phone. At that time, I asked him to take me back to get
No. You dropped your phone. And you didn't know you dropped your phone because if you knew you dropped your phone, you would have picked it up.
Right, correct.
Right. So then you got back into the car. Driver's seat or passenger seat?
I was in the passenger seat.
And Mr. Gray was driving?
Yes.
And Mr. Mohammed was at the bar?
Yes, he was with a friend.
He had gone to the bar, so it was the 2 of you. You're in the passenger seat, he's driving, and he's drunk.
Yes.
And you went back to the barbershop for him to use the restroom. Just follow, because there was a time when you wanted to go back to look for your dropped phone. Do you understand?
Correct.
Now, he goes back to the barbershop. How long was he in the restroom before you realized that you had dropped your phone?
About 5 minutes.
And you realized that you had dropped your phone because you tried to make a call while you were waiting for him.
Correct. And it was snow on the ground, correct.
And it was snowing and he didn't have a frankfurter.
Yes.
So now he's gone in to use the restroom. You go and look for your phone. You see how easy this is, like fishing in a fish tank. You went inside. And what did you do when you went inside when you realized that you had lost your phone?
I told him, let's go get my phone, and he drove us and went and got the phone.
Okay, so he came out of the restroom, you got back into the passenger seat of the car.
Correct.
And he got into the driver's seat of the car.
Correct.
And what happened?
Then we called Mohammed to try to meet back up with him after we got my phone. And then
No. Step, slowly he turned. Step by step, inch by inch. Now you're in the car, on your way back to the bar where Mohammed is to look for your phone.
I got drunk. I think I blacked out after that point.
Not according to your answer. According to your answer, you knew exactly what happened, sir. What do you mean you blacked out? You
I mean,
signed a sworn statement.
I know we got the phone. I got the phone back.
Well, I know you got the phone, so you had to have driven back there successfully to get the phone.
Yes.
And is it at that point that you get back into the car and you blacked out?
No, it was just I got really drunk after getting my phone. Like after that,
You don't remember what happened?
I remember getting my phone and being drunk. Like, I got my phone.
Okie dokie, there we go. Okay, you were all drunk. As a matter of fact, I have zero sympathy for any of you getting behind the wheel of a car. Okay, the car was damaged.
Yes, I have.
And so what you want me to believe that you blame him, and I could understand that because I don't know how drunk you actually were, whether or not you blame him for your wrecked car because you were driving the car back to find his phone and it wouldn't have been in that problem had he not dropped his phone out of the car, or whether he was actually driving the car drunk. It's actually irrelevant to me. You were both driving drunk. You have a bill to fix the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
And I have pictures of the accident.
Okay, so, yeah, so the bill was $5,500. And you had insurance?
Yes.
And the insurance paid for how much?
I had no fault insurance.
So you didn't have...
I didn't have collision.
Okay, you didn't have collision, so you had to pay $5,500, which you paid.
Yeah.
Divide that by 2.
$27.50.
That's what I thought. So, Mr. Gray, there are some lessons that you learn, and I don't know whether other courts would agree. I have to make a determination as to credibility, and quite frankly, I can't determine between two drunks who's telling me the truth. Because on the 27th of November, both of you were in no condition to drive a car. And I can't tell who actually drove the car at the time that it was wrecked. But I do know that you drove the car from a club to your barbershop, and that neither one of you stayed at the scene, called the police, because both of you were inebriated, and knew that either one or both of you were going to get busted for a DUI because you both drove the car that evening. What?
Ma'am, I was not drunk at the time that this happened. I did go to the bars, but I wasn't in the bars drinking. That I had one beer.
$27.50, we're done.
This court is adjourned.
I feel like he kind of got the story wrong because I wasn't drunk, but
I think that was very fair. I feel like, the judge was very reasonable.
I had one beer that day, but